Cool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
We have come out of another wild ride with our temperatures and getting into another one. The deep cold is over. Sunshine, south wind, 65 this afternoon. Tonight, some clouds, 46. Thursday, sunny and 74. 78 and sunny on Friday. 81 and sunny Saturday and Sunday. The spring season officially begins Friday morning. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Oh, what a beautiful day in St. Louis. Nice and sunny. It's feeling like spring, where Monday and Tuesday did not feel like spring. And I know this because I took spring break off for a couple of days with my daughter, and they were probably the worst weather days of the month, but I kind of knew that was coming. I should have taken off the latter part of the week, but then I would have missed the fish fry. I didn't want to miss the fish fry, right?
You got to prioritize, and you did stuff inside.
We managed, and by the way, I think Alexa Reardon will be at the fish fry making a special appearance. She usually attends one, and we'll have the red carpet rolled out for the princess on Friday afternoon. How are you, Fred? Because I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I'm great. I'm happy to be back.
You did spring break in D.C. and in New York City, right?
Right. I split my time, 4 days in each.
You know, so I was asking him because we were catching up in the office earlier, and we were talking about the SLU game from last week. And you said you were actually, I forgot you were doing this, but you were actually at was it the Big East tournament?
Yeah, it was the Big East championship game at Madison Square Garden on Friday, where St. John's really, killed UConn.
Yeah, and a big upset.
I don't like to hear that.
Although that didn't work out so well for them because they got like the 5 seed and UConn got the 2 seed.
Yeah, that didn't really matter in the end. Had you been to Madison Square Garden?
No, first time. I loved it. It's the between the seats and where the concourses are so skinny and tight. It's really fun to go there. It's like going to the old arena or something.
I've never been there, but they've had to have modernized it to a certain extent, right?
The seats are very nice.
Yeah.
And they've got some video screens along one whole level. Every seat has a video screen in a certain level. But it's very nice.
Yeah. It was funny because, I'm rewatching Mad Men right now, and there's a storyline that involves the beginning of Madison Square Garden in like marketing it and everything, which I thought was funny. But yeah, so I kept a little busy here the last couple of days. Got out to the MAC, played racquetball with Alexis. She wants to learn how to play, so we did that a little bit and did a lunch, did a little shopping. She likes to go to the mall, so we went to the mall and we did that. We watched. Which movie did I watch? I saw Zootopia 2.
Was it good?
It was. I really liked the first one a lot more, but it was decent. But we're back at it here, and we got a lot going on really what is a nice day. You said you got out for a bike ride earlier, right?
Yeah, 16 miles, and it was a nice day to do it. Not too many people out there yet.
Was it windy today? Because that was kind of the story of the last couple of days.
Yeah, but it wasn't 14 or anything. It was 9. 9 I can handle.
9 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, so Fred, you will be here for this week's fish fry, correct?
Yeah.
At Queen of All Saints in Oakville. We only have 2 of these left, which is kind of amazing. It's sponsored by Apache Village RV Center. They've done a great job in supporting us. Fred missed a good one last Friday.
Fred.
And this is my first day back from,
it was so
from that.
Good.
Really, it was good. It was really, really fun.
Wow.
And we had such a great time in the 5 o'clock hour with John O'Leary. Dan Reardon came by. We talked a little golf. We do have a special appearance because we try to do like a special appearance guest for each one. Kenny Wallace.
No way.
Better than that.
Oh,
Better than that.
Shoot,
his wife, Kim.
Kim.
Both
Yay,
coming on
yay.
Friday. How
I want
about that?
my picture with both of them.
I know, right? So that'll be fun. And
That's so
We'll wrap things up at Ott's Tavern in Fish Stand in Millstadt next week. We already have the roundtable set. Fred's been working, man, ever since he's been back.
You go, Fred.
He's been getting it done. John Lapping, who seems to be the official Reardon Fish Fry roundtable panelist, and which I love, by the way.
Yes,
I'm not
it's
criticizing
awesome.
it. State Rep Steve Butts will also be there on Friday. Okay, what else did I want to talk
said
about
she
here?
might try to make an appearance. I don't know if that'll
good.
happen. But
Hey,
that'd
Mark,
be nice.
we haven't talked since did you watch the Oscars?
Well, I didn't watch 1 minute of the Oscars. You know, it's really sad what's happened to the Oscars. Sasha Stone wrote about this today, and you know I like her. She ran this, really was the gold standard of Hollywood Oscar handicapping in Hollywood at Awards Daily. And I've told you this before, she used to be the biggest lefty out there. And she's just flipped completely, and she's been ripping on Hollywood. I mean, I didn't watch one battle after another. Too many people told me that I'd be pissed off by it, so I decided to skip it. But it wasn't too long ago, and there's a couple of pieces I even have today where, you know, we would all get together on a Monday or whenever that was, and we talk about the Oscars and which movies we've seen. I mean, none of these movies that have won in the last several years, like Anora or One Battle After Another, I think a few more people saw that one. People don't see these movies. They don't talk about these movies. They're not memorable movies at all. So as someone who really supported Hollywood and who supported people going into theaters to see movies for my, you know, good portion of my career, because that's really what I believed in. I believed in the magic. I still do. I think there's this magic when you're in a movie theater.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
you know, it kind of just brings you in and draws you into the story, and it's dark and it's a huge screen with thundering, you know, sound effects. So I think there's really magic that can't be replicated no matter how good your sound system is or your screen in your room. But on the other hand, you know, they're so into themselves. That's all they care about. Did you watch it at all, Fred?
No, I saw a lot of it.
You did?
I was in a hotel room in Brooklyn, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
so
Sunday
is
night.
that why you were watching it? Because you were kind of in the hotel room, or did you really care?
No, I didn't really care because I didn't know any of the movies.
Yeah.
Like no one else did
None of
either.
the movies, right? So this is who is this? This is not Sasha, who I mentioned, but this really kind of sums it up really well. The Oscars was yesterday. My friend said to me while walking through town, she noticed that a nearby bar had the TV tuned into a replay of the ceremony. But she says, what surprised me, this is someone who writes on Substack. It just says, quote, the Raven, so I'm not exactly sure who it is, but it was relatable the way she told the story. She goes, this is a person who's deeply spiritually committed to things like what movies are in theaters and new fictional television shows. She loves the arts. She listens to jazz. She goes to Broadway plays. She watches every prestige movie she can and regularly comments about what media has won what award. She follows celebrity gossip with the focus of a Vatican archivist. Her interests sit precisely at the intersection of everything the Oscars supposedly celebrates and is entrenched in, and yet she missed the show entirely. And this person said that, in a nutshell, is the problem. And it is the problem. Over the last several years, the Oscars have quietly drifted from being the cultural event, the night when the entertainment industry world stopped to watch, into something that was closer to an industry banquet that occasionally spills onto television. That's what's happened here. The ceremony arrives with the same self-importance it had in the 1990s, but the culture around it has moved on. And this person says what used to feel like a shared national moment, I agree with this a lot, by the way, feels more like a political rally fused with fashion show and a desperate attempt to take 120-second acceptance speeches to prove one's IQ is not in the double digits. And the part that is really relatable here, which is interesting that you brought this question up, Fred, because I had this on my mind today, is that the movies that the Academy rewards are increasingly invisible to the people who are watching at home. So, you know, they're up there on that stage the other night, and they were probably talking to the audience as if everyone's seen all these nominees, debated the performance. I'd guess that most of the people who voted on the Oscars, even though they put this new system in where you're supposed to see the films, probably didn't even see these movies because they were so bad. So the person on the Substack says, in reality, most viewers have maybe heard of one of the films, vaguely recognized the second, accidentally streamed the third while half watching it on their phone during laundry. When the biggest award of the year goes to a movie the average viewer hasn't encountered in any meaningful way, the victory lap feels oddly private, like a group of insiders congratulating each other for something the rest of the room didn't witness. And that's exactly kind of what's happening with the Oscars and with movies overall. And it's unfortunate. Now, I want to say this because I have very high hopes for this movie that's going to open with Ryan Gosling, Project Hail Mary, because I'm hearing unbelievably good things, that it's a great popcorn thriller. You put your politics aside. You just have a good time at the movies. And I wish that movie had opened up. The screening was last night, and I didn't want to go to the screening because I wanted to watch the World Baseball Classic. But Alexa wants to see it. It's PG-13, but I think I'm going to take her this weekend. Now we have, even though we have March Madness, there's not a whole lot else going on, and I'll have to see what the weather is. But that's the kind of movie I think that people can rally around and just have a good time with. Now, is it the Oscar caliber type of award? Well, no, it's not. But I think the other thing that people need, well, maybe it is. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I suppose you can say that it could be. But here's the other thing that people forget about a lot of these things. And it's really, really unfortunate. Fred, I've covered this in the past before. But in order to get nominated, okay, just to get a nomination for the Academy Awards, you have to check off so many boxes. This happened in the post-George Floyd era, okay? So at least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors submitted for consideration from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group in a specific country. So you have to have minority representation. Even if the movie's set in the 1800s with all white people, it doesn't matter. You have to have a Latinx or someone like that. So African American, East Asian, Hispanic, or Latina, Latini, Latino, Latinx. It actually says that. I'm not making that up to mock it. Indigenous peoples, Middle Eastern, Pacific Islander, the list goes on. General ensemble cast. At least 30% of all actors not submitted for Oscar consideration are from at least two unrepresented groups, which may include women, racial or ethnic group, the alphabet mafia, people with cognitive or physical disabilities, or who are deaf or hard of hearing. So 30% of the actors have to either be gay or trans or women or black, or it doesn't. Here's the deal. Let me simplify it. 30% of all actors cannot be white, straight dudes or women. Okay, we don't want that. We do not want that in Hollywood. We certainly don't want to recognize them for their achievements. A3. This is all part of the designation that you need to be an Oscar nominee. The main storyline, theme, or narrative of the film is centered on an underrepresented group. Women, racial, LGBTQ, people with... So you're not getting the movies, certainly for the awards, that are the best movies, that have the best performances.
Right.
It's the best woke movies of the year. And it's sad because at some point in history, people are going to look back and say, man, look at all these movies from 1968 and on that were just incredible, that were the best Oscar winners. And then you get to the late 20-teens and you're like, what in the hell were people watching? Because it's nonsense. It's all woke BS. It's not entertaining in any way, shape, or form. What were people doing? Well, it's the same people who were wearing Crocs, so that should give you a little indication, too. That's just my Crocs mantra that I go on every once in a while. Brian Kilmeade is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I have house Crocs. I'm just going to tell you.
I think I give you a pass on those.
Okay,
I'll give you a little
fair.
pass on those.
All right. On the roads, we look pretty good. It's spring break for a lot of people, and it really has helped in traffic this week. Westbound 70, a little slow at Zumbel. Eastbound at 141. 64 looks fine at Hampton. That's right. It's a little slow at 270 and at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, if you're coming off of the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, there's a little bit of volume at 70, the 64 split right in there due to road work. But also on the Illinois side, an accident reported on westbound 64 past Highway 50, and this has created a pretty good jam. Not quite back to Route 4, but close to it. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
My friend Jeannie Sullivan from Red Spies Plus said, on Project Hail Mary, that will eventually go to streaming. And I said, yeah, usually with films, what's been the pattern is they'll go to rental first or purchase. So you can, and it's so funny because the purchase, I don't know if you've done this like on iTunes or anything, the purchase price is usually like $2 more than the rental.
Is that right?
I'm not even exaggerating. Right. That's what I did with Zootopia before it even came in on Disney. So yeah, that movie will eventually stream, and probably pretty quickly because they're turning these things around quicker than they were. Brian Kilmeade's coming up here in a couple of minutes. Let's talk about Michael's Carpeting here. And the website is outstanding. It's igotfloor.com. If you have a flooring project here in the St. Louis area, there really is no other place to turn than Michael's. Mike and his team have been at it for decade after decade. They have a ton of experience, a great lineup of products as well. And again, really, I want to go back to the experience because you can't do these projects without people who know the technology. They know your lifestyle is going to be a little different than mine probably. So if you have pets, if you have kids, they're offering the most advanced technology in flooring. We're going to talk, for example, with George Rosenthal from Throttle Nut tonight, and we talk about technology. Just like anything else, the technology in, silky soft carpeting and in hard flooring that doesn't scratch or, warp, those have come a long way, and that's the type of stuff you want to put in your home. You need guidance, and the team at Michaels can give it to you. They're open 6 days a week, just closed on Sundays in Old Town St. Peters, in Darden Prairie, and in West County on Olive. The website, igotfloor.com.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me, 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
It's time for you to get to know my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then, we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Beat the spring rush and call Zero Res today. Mark Cox here. Springing forward feels better on freshly cleaned carpets and floors. Let Zero Res remove that lingering grime and get your home ready for the brighter days ahead. Right now, this month, buy one, get one room of carpet clean free. Unlimited rooms of carpet when you ask for the 97.1 special. Call 314-474-2020 or go online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Well, this was a lot of fun earlier today on Capitol Hill.
That chance to clear the record. Tell it to my face. If that's what you believe, tell it to me today. Tell the world why you believe I deserve to be assaulted from behind.
I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms as a snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us.
I'm not always good at political predictions, but I don't think they're going to be dining together tonight, Markwayne Mullin and Rand Paul in the Senate dining area. Brian Kilmeade is back with us this afternoon. Hello, Brian. How are you? Welcome back.
What's happening, Mark?
What'd you think of that? I mean, of course it was going to come up. As soon as he gets nominated a couple of weeks ago, you realize that Rand Paul is the chair of this committee, and you realize that, Markwayne Mullin has said some things about Rand Paul that have not been very complimentary. I think what surprised Senator Paul today is that he wasn't very apologetic. He didn't really back down and wasn't apologetic about it. So Senator Paul seemed to indicate he thought that hearing might start a little differently than it did, Brian.
Well, no, but the thing is, I watched it twice now, and I'm hosting for Jesse tonight, so I'm going to do it again. So a couple of things. So let's say you and I have an argument, Mark. Listen, it's unfortunate we've had these clashes in the past, and it seemed to me that you were making light of the fact that I was assaulted, and I don't know if you were clear on it. I actually almost died.
Right.
So when you came out and made maybe the guy had a point, I just thought I'd give you an opportunity to maybe clarify what you meant. But this guy came out, Rand Paul, and gave like a 10-minute address on how he was attacked from behind. His lungs were lungs and ribs were hurt, and you came out and say, I understand why you got assaulted. There was no out there. There was no like, hey, maybe we can get past this. Do you really feel as though assault is okay? So he was looking for either like a flat-out tail between my legs. I didn't realize how serious it was. I feel bad. But there was no out there. So he said, okay, what can I tell you? Basically, I don't like you. You don't like me. I have no regrets about our relationship. You're not going to vote for me. So can the next person ask questions, please?
Right.
So, and that's just it. So Markwayne Mullins says something I think is 100% accurate. He shouldn't have, about the assault. You don't make light of assault, clearly. But everything that Rand Paul does is for Rand Paul. I don't even think, the people of Kentucky, I've never met anyone in Kentucky who talks like him, who acts like him, who votes like him. So they keep putting him there, I think because his dad was well known. And he doesn't vote for anything. He's like the Tom Massey of the Senate. So I appreciate what he did with Fauci. But, the guy with Markwayne Mullins does is spend a lot of time trying to put stuff together. Hey, this is what the president meant to say. Hey, let's see if we can get you on a vote right here. Hey, let's see if we can, he does workout classes for Democrats, obviously, and Republicans. Josh Gottheimer, Democrat, showed up. He tries to get stuff done. Rand Paul is there to be a man that should really be in a think tank. Smart guy. I'm not saying his thoughts are unfounded or shallow.
Right.
But you're supposed to be a legislator, lawmaker, and that's what Markwayne Mullins was saying.
Yeah, because look, I like the libertarian streak in Rand Paul and a lot of what he stands for. But to your point, he's not really representing his constituents in Kentucky the way that they would probably prefer to be represented. So, he's very stubborn that way. And again, he was never going to be a yes vote. The one question from today is like John Fetterman sounded a little wobbly.
He would be a significant upgrade. Noam was an absolute train wreck. Even the Republicans agree with that. Thank God she's gone.
So, better than Kristi Noem, but I did hear a little, sense of doubt in Senator Fetterman's voice earlier today as well. But I do think he's going to clear the committee. Isn't that the conventional wisdom?
No question.
Yeah.
No question. He'll probably have 52 or 53, but he should have 80. Because they all like him, outside Rand Paul. They all like him. They know that he's not a firebrand. Behind the scenes, he's not out to get you. He's out to get stuff done. And he always says, he's humble, legitimately. I think he's the only one without a college degree. He had to drop out to help his family with his business. So, so he doesn't walk in a room going, I know everything, and that's what people appreciate about him. He's also a legitimate tough guy. He was 7-0 as a UFC fighter and then wasn't getting the fights he wanted, wasn't making the money he needed, so he left. I would love that, have a 7-0 record and leave on top. So, and then, he became a fantastic wrestler. 6 of his kids wrestle. You heard that incredible story about him and the president. So, again, when his son took a serious head injury and almost died, the president went and demanded to see him and helped him by the president showing up.
That's a great story.
Memory. It's unbelievable, the story.
So, Brian, where do you think the Save America Act is right now? Kim Strassel has some interesting reporting about this right now in the way that John Thune was trying to maybe, save this thing. And I don't know that it is savable right now. They're talking about the hybrid talking filibuster. Mike Lee and some others are mentioning that. I don't see a path here for Senator Thune to get this thing to the president's desk.
No, I think right now it's DOA. And that's it. They're going to go for the fight, and they're going to get people on the record. My problem with it, Mark, and maybe I'm not smart enough to figure it out, is if it's voter ID, make it voter ID. Why are you putting this stuff about same-sex sports and trans athletes? Don't put that stuff in there.
I agree.
And the thing is, there is a reason for mail-in voting outside the armed services. As you see in Alaska, Murkowski said, I got people living 400 miles from a voting booth. They're never going to vote.
Right.
So you need to have voting. So maybe there's a criteria to voting, to mail-in voting we do. See, that to me, that would put pressure. But I also talked to Thune's team because I talked, and I guess they didn't like what I said about it. And I said, well, this is the clarity. We're going to go put it for a vote. And they said that the one thing they said is that Republicans aren't voting for it because they are not on board, like Tillis, like Murkowski, like McConnell. McConnell doesn't want anything voting from a federal level. He thinks it all should be state. So he's just not interested. But the other ones were fighting it on the mail-in aspect. In North Carolina, it works. In Florida, it works. So they wanted some security. So to me, that's where you go in and get to work. But what Thune's people said, as soon as Trump came out and said, this is the most important thing that I could do, it's more important than anything else that they get done, is to get this done, they refuse to do anything on it because they will not give them the win.
Well, and so what Kim's reporting is that, the best narrative right now for the Republicans is say, see, we tried, and they were the ones who wouldn't do this, and then just point out some of the things that they're saying. But that's not exactly a victory for the president. One thing that's happening here in the middle of the country where we were literally, we were a couple 20 cents under $3 a gallon for regular unleaded. We're now up to about $3.49. The president and the administration say this is going to be short-lived pain. But, man, if it is not short-lived pain politically, there is risk going up every single day here for the Republicans, Brian.
Mark, you're right, but it's March. All I can tell you is it's March. And the president has policies in place to get it right back down rapidly. So this is, to me, a fight that we had to have. It was going to happen at some point. It was going to be forced upon us with a president with no guts, or it was going to be finally addressed with a president with guts. And with understood the downside. But if he even waited another year with them making 200 ballistic missiles a month, some say 400, to go out and get that uranium that they probably would have dug out by now, there's 460 kilograms of uranium. Now, every time we hear there's 460 kilograms, they go, no, there isn't. Ron goes, no, we don't have anything. No. And then they come out over the weekend and they say, wait a second, on Face the Nation. Yes, we have 460 kilograms of uranium, and it's weaponized to 60%. Excuse me? You only admitted to doing 3%. You said it was a fake Western lie that you're weaponizing your uranium. You're enriching to that point. So that means it is 2 weeks away from being 90%, which means you put it in a rocket and you shoot it off, or do a dirty bomb or something to that nature, which they're capable of. So they were doing everything. So he basically said it. And I think the foreign minister is so rattled, they didn't even realize what he said. So I think the president could have done a better job. And we discussed this last week, just saying, here's the reason we're going in. And then we add to it. But the president is somebody who does his own messaging, or his own reasoning. And he thought it was obvious to most people that 47 years of this storyline would be enough for generations to understand why I'm hitting these guys.
Brian, it's a little early. Do you have anything set for Sunday night's show?
Yeah, we have a lot of it set. I'm going to have Mike Rowe on. I'm going to have Elise Stefanik on. I am going to have Dean Cain is going to be joining us. He's starting a new podcast coming out of Conservative Hollywood, as you know what he is. He's a great personality. So I think that's the foundation. Also, the guys from RAF, Real American Freestyle, they're starting a reality show on top of their show. It's the fast-growing sport in the country. ESPN's trying to buy it. UFC's trying to buy it. It launched here 2 years ago. So I'm going to be talking to those guys. That Hulk Hogan founded it. Sadly, he passed away. These are the guys behind the scenes and the wrestlers, the UFC's guys. In fact, we're going to – so that's roughly the show we have. So we'll come out with 3 strong guests, and then we'll go 1-1-1 the rest of the way.
I think you got to wrap it up on Sunday with a cage match between Rand Paul and Mark Wayne Mullen. It fits the theme of the show, doesn't it?
Mark, you don't understand. In America, we don't fight our way out. Did you learn anything from Rand Paul?
Damn it!
We're not allowed to argue. We can't settle anything. We're supposed to have think tank discussion.
That's right. Brian Kilmeade, have a great week. I appreciate it.
All right, go get it.
Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Spring break week, and we've got light traffic out there. Westbound 70 looks good out of downtown. Little slow at K and at Wentzville. 64 isn't bad. Eastbound is slow at 270, and then westbound at Highway N. We've got southbound 270 with a little volume at the Clayton Road overpass. 55 slowing headed down toward Bates, and again at 141. But if you are headed into Illinois, we look great on the bridges downtown, except if you're coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, it's jamming at 64. And there was an accident westbound 64 in the Shiloh area past Highway 50, and that has caused a delay. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Triton Exteriors. We take care of your home. It's that simple. Triton-STL.com. Home improvement projects can come with a lot of headaches. We save you time by offering packaged services that are easy to understand and based on your needs. We take care of the details so you don't have to. Visit us at Triton-STL.com. That's Triton-STL.com.
I think we have someone who took my advice on the line coming up next, Chief Tim Fitch, about Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. And he was listening to my messaging early. This one's real easy because you don't want to be left out with power. And we know that we get power outages. Could be because of an ice storm as we head into the spring here. We know what happened with the tornado last year. And there were people that were out of power for weeks on end. And that's happened across the country. With a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter of St. Louis, you're going to get peace of mind when you install that generator because they're going to make sure they take great care of you. There are, warranty requirements, for example. It's just like an HVAC system to make sure you got to do the maintenance and monitor, and that's what they do at Generator Supercenter. They don't sell portable generators. Those aren't very good, high quality. This is going to be something that's going to kick your home in right away with natural gas or propane. You don't have to worry about it when you're away. When the power goes out, that Generac generator kicks in within seconds. So if you want a free estimate, they do have payment plans with low interest available. Don't wait for the next storm or outage. 314-499-2020, Generators, Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Drury Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Drury Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems, call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis, at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Consistently right.
It's a ritual.
97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
I was kind of disappointed that I was off the last couple of days because I wanted to talk about this. Our friend Jane Duker was sending me the videos of what happened the other night in several locations across the city. Sounded like this.
He would be a significant...
No, it didn't sound like John Fetterman. It sounded like this.
Whoa! That was hard.
You had like 50 vehicles involved in street takeovers. I guess all this begins at 5:30 on Saturday night. There's a woman that shot in an apartment building that was condemned in the Marine Villa neighborhood.
Jeez.
And then a 14-year-old girl was shot at 9:30 following a party in the 8200 block of North Broadway. What you're hearing here is they actually lit a ring of fire in an intersection, and all these kids started climbing into the ring of fire, and they're doing all their burnouts and stuff like that. So this was going across the city, and we've seen this happen before. And so you know that there was this takeover at Holly Hills, and what's the cross street?
Leona.
Leona, right there in the middle of where Fond du Lac Park is. last year.
It's really, you know what? It's really disturbing when that happens as a resident. First of all, you hear noise and you think, what the heck is going on? It's just really, I know you hear it and you think, well, how bad can that be? It really is upsetting.
Well, this was, I didn't realize there were 7 people who were shot this weekend.
I didn't know
all
that.
Of this. Former St. Louis County Police Chief, very veteran Reardon Roundtable panelist, Tim Fitch is with us this afternoon. I mean, what can you say anymore, Chief? We've talked about this so many times. It's the same thing. And the street gangs kind of know that they have an advantage, don't they?
Absolutely. They're taking advantage of the fact that the city police department is understaffed.
Yeah.
That's the primary issue here.
Yeah.
However, I would never say there's a problem without offering a solution. One already exists. In the metro area, we have something called the Gateway Regional Criminal Interdiction Task Force. And what that is that's 26 agencies from St. Charles County and St. Louis County that participate in these enforcement efforts. And really, I think the city police department, all they have to do is ask for help. And these different agencies will flood the city. There's a lot of things they have to work out as far as, towing and charging and, criminal charges, those type of things. But that's easy to work out. So I think the city needs to step up and say, hey, we need help with this. We just can't do it ourselves right now.
Well, how could you not have been at that point years ago? I mean,
right.
Now this is an extreme example maybe of one weekend, but look, the weather was nicer. We're going to get nicer weather. School's going to be out. The fact that not all of them, but many of these incidents involve gunfire makes it even worse. My guess would be some of the people involved in these incidents have already been arrested by cops, and they simply don't care. One of the things that's most stunning to me, Chief, and I know we've seen this since Mike Brown, but these kids surrounded police cars like they were going to attack them. And they didn't seem to worry about any consequences whatsoever. Consequences to their life, consequences to being arrested. They didn't care.
Yeah, they'd care if there was 10 or 20 officers there instead of just one.
Yes.
They feel emboldened, like we can do what we want to with this officer. We could jump on his hood. We could crash through his windshield, whatever, because they know there's not a lot one person's going to do. That's why the city has to flood. There are known areas where this happens, right, Sue?
Yes.
Isn't it kind of the same spots, the hot spots?
Yeah, Morgan Ford,
this was
South
and
City
Morgan Ford was one of them, right?
Is one of them, and that's really close to a really nice area.
Yeah, can we probably guess when these peak times are in these racing corridors? And then, it's no different than hotspot patrols and saturation units. Use unmarked vehicles to observe and identify the organizers. There's all kinds of technology the city has. They have a wonderful real-time crime center that they can use to say, hey, people are starting to gather. Well, what do you think this is going to turn into? It's going to turn into street racing. So, you have to watch for that. Maybe even dedicate a special phone number for residents to call and say, you see people gathering. We know this might be happening. It may not be a 911 call, but here's a special street racing phone number you can call to alert us and let us know what's going on anonymously. And then they flood this area. Now, chances are these kids will move to other places. What's different is I worked for many years the Lindbergh corridor. Remember all the in South County, all the cruising and everything that happened through the years in South County. We knew what was going to happen. We knew the gathering spots. Here's the big difference today. A lot of these kids are armed.
Yeah.
That's the big difference today. And we keep hearing people in the city blame Jeff City for their weak gun laws. I guarantee you everything you saw in those videos that those young people were doing were already illegal.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely they were.
Yes.
So
you don't need anything new.
How do you respond to this? Because this is always consistent, too, but I don't think there's anything you do about it. So the flack for the police department, Mitch McCoy says there's one consistent problem we saw throughout the night, even with multiple shootings. It was juveniles without their parents. They were nowhere in sight. Our officers should not be your babysitter. Our city is not a playground, and this type of violence is absolutely unacceptable. That's some great rhetoric. It should probably come from the mayor and the police chief as well. But the problem is that you're not going to automatically get parents involved in these kids' lives because that's why they're out doing this, because the parents don't give a rip, or the parents are doing the same thing and worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you would ask a parent, where's your child? It's 11 o'clock at night, and they're 14, and they say, I have no idea. They left the house with their friends. Guess what? They're probably up to no good, and something bad that's going to happen. How many people? We had all those people shot, and then one of the young ladies fell out of a car. These things, they can be controlled, but it's going to take police presence to do it.
Listen to this one, Sue. Okay, so the local paper kind of goes through the timeline here of some things that were happening. Like at 9:30 p.m., I mentioned, at North Broadway in the Baden neighborhood, a 14-year-old girl is shot, right? So then at 11:45, a hospital tells police, I don't say what hospital, they were treating a 17-year-old male for a gunshot wound. The victim said he'd been walking downtown near 7th and Chestnuts. That's not too far away from where we are right now. He heard gunshots and he felt pain. Realizing he had been shot, he drove himself to the hospital.
Wow.
The gunfire, they didn't know where it came from. He said, I don't know where it came from. Before 2 a.m., police respond in the 1900 block of Locust in the downtown West neighborhood. They find ballistic evidence, but no victims. And then they find out later that there's a 24-year-old man and a 27-year-old man that were being treated for gunshot wounds. So all these incidents were bad enough without the gunshots, Chief, but they all had, gunfire and some had gunshot wounds.
Yeah, that's not unusual. The other thing that happens quite often is people get shot, they just roll up to the ER and push them out and drive off.
Yeah.
That's not unusual either.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Happens quite
I
often.
don't know what the answer is, and I don't know, I haven't heard anything. I was off on Monday and Tuesday, so in fairness, maybe there was something that was said, but I don't think I've heard anything from the mayor or from the chief on what happened over the weekend. Has anyone?
I think the mayor's spokesperson
Yes.
put out a statement.
She
something
referred
like that.
to it as an event, didn't she, Chief?
Yeah.
An event.
Well,
yeah.
What the city needs to do is say, we need help. And I know nobody wants to ask for help in law enforcement. They want to do it themselves, especially when it's a large agency. But it continues to get out of control. They have to ask surrounding agencies for help. By the way, all the St. Louis County agencies, 150 officers will get together and do this interdiction task force when they go out and do these things from 26 different agencies.
Yeah.
So all they got to do is ask.
Yeah.
It's not too hard. They should do it. All right. And by the way, there's all kinds of pictures out there of the people involved in this the other night. I wonder how many arrests in the end that they will make.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You got all kinds of, you got LPRs, the license plate readers out there, those type of things. So there's a lot of work they can do, investigative work, if they really want to find out who these people are, especially firearms.
All right, Chief. Thanks as always, and we will talk soon.
All right, take care.
We'll see what happens. I know that's why I loved getting the messages from Jane, because you know how fired up she is about this.
Yes.
It's the same thing. And look, this is what frustrated me. Like when I was going to the soccer game a couple of weeks ago, and I just drove from where we are here at 13th and Olive, and I go down, and you see things that are very cool by Energizer Park, and they look like they're safe, and there's a thriving economy. But this area where we are, toward the Arch, needs a lot of help. And, these kids, obviously, they were out in South City. They were out in different parts of the neighborhood as well. They know that they have the cops exactly where they want them. They can start something. They can even be organized. There's no way for police to be at 2 different or 3 different events at the same time, at least based on the manpower that we have right now.
That's right.
Very scary.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
And then the mayor doesn't come out and say, we are clamping down on this. This is the end.
Well,
Here's what we're doing.
You should have messaging.
Like
I don't know. I think there should be some messaging from outside of, just the AG. Because Catherine Hanaway said something, but how about someone within the city?
Correct. All right, on the roads, we've got light volume this week. It is a spring break for a lot of people. And westbound 70 looks good out of downtown. Little slow at Zumbell and at K and at Wentzville. But that's just moderate volume. Same thing, 64, little slow at Hampton, and then approaching N out through the 70 split. Southbound 270, moderate volume at Ladue Road and at Gravois. The heavy stuff is on the Illinois side. Now, we're fine on the Poplar, but eastbound 70 is slow coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. That's due to road work. And there's an accident westbound 64 at 158/Highway 50 on the Illinois side by Shiloh, and that has created a delay. Eastbound traffic slowing at 157, all due to road work. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Our winters take a real toll on your garage door, and Overhead Door Company can come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. One price for up to 3. Schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, I want you to take advantage of mortgage rates that are dropping right now. And you may say to yourself, well, they're too high still. I have a real low rate. Well, get with Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage because you're going to pay less. You keep more of your money because he's got the bagel loan. He's the only lender in the area that has the bagel loan. If you Google the bagel loan, you'll see the details that come right up. And he calls it the bagel loan because it looks like a zero. You pay zero in fees. So when you refi with Stewie, and it's a great time to do it because these rates have dropped, you pay no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, no broker fees, zero. Well, how is that possible? Sounds like that's impossible. Well, he can explain it to you. He's very relatable and engaging, which is one of the reasons we give you his cell phone number. You can text him right away and say, hey, explain how you do this. It's Stewie and his son Jordan that handle all the loans. Also, they pride themselves on quick closes in as little as 10 days, so they have an advantage there. There's a lot of transparency. So Google the bagel loan or text or call Stewie at 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715. This Friday, we're inviting you to have some fish with us. It's another Fish Fry Friday on the Mark Reardon Show. This time we're in Oakville at Queen of All Saints. From 3 to 6, we'll be broadcasting live and eating God's cod. Fish Fry Fridays, made possible by Apache Village RV.
There's no better way to upgrade your backyard than by calling my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck Company. Mark Cox here, locally owned and operated for 58 years now, and it is a sign you have the very best because they're so proud of what they do. They offer fences, of course, and decks, and sunrooms, and screen rooms, and patios, retaining walls, and so much more. Chesterfield Fence and Deck takes so much pride in what they do because they've done it for so many people. When they come over to your house, they'll give you a free estimate, no obligation, free project design. They'll take out their digital photo gallery of completed projects and let you see what other people are doing, and then you can make it your own. When they do their work, they give you a 5-year labor warranty and a comprehensive material warranty, and they're highly rated with the Better Business Bureau, of course. Reach out to them today. Tell them you heard about it from Mark Cox. You're going to get 48 months interest-free financing on your next project. Go to chesterfieldfence.com.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsend. Many of our clients are victims of negligent drivers. They put their trust in us, and we help them recover physically and financially. Their words carry more weight than ours.
They guided me through every step of the legal process with clarity and expertise, ensuring that I always felt informed and supported.
Injured? Call Kaufman Townsley. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-777-7777.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm just sitting here talking to Sue, bitching about something that I saw the other night. I was watching, I don't know, basketball or something. I saw this Charter Spectrum ad come on, and the dude was telling me how reliable the service was. It's not. But the dude was telling me that in the commercial, and he was raving about how when the generator, this is an actual line from the commercial. I would play this to you if I had better audio. But the generator, when the generator kicked back on, he tells this story. He's out of town. His daughter has to go to his house. And when the generator kicks back on, well, the Spectrum service is right there. Well, yeah, duh. Of course it is, because the power is on in your house. Here's the difference, and this is why I switched to AT&T Fiber. And I'm not paid to say this, by the way, at all. There's no commercial involved here. But I've told you, I've had this now for 7 months. Zero problems. Like zero problems. With Spectrum, every other week there would be a problem. But that commercial is so deceptive because the difference with AT&T Fiber, and this to me was a selling point, Sue, it really was. If I was sitting, I did my show for a whole year in my studio, and if I lost power in my home, I lost internet with Spectrum. Boom, I was done. I one time had to go to the parking lot of the Drury Inn at 141 and 44, and on the phone I had to do part of the show because I didn't have any power.
Well, wouldn't the power go down with AT&T? That's how my modem is powered.
If the power goes out with the AT&T fiber, you still have the internet.
Okay, I have that, but I haven't. Are you sure?
That's what the guy told me.
How would that be? Because you've got to get it through the modem. And the modem is powered by electricity.
Okay, well, this would be something to look into, but I know, here's what I know. When I signed on for that was something that was, maybe it was a lie, but it was a specific difference between AT&T and Charter. And I remember that because it happens so often. And again, if the power goes out and you still have internet, let's face it, we are so addicted to it. You can't watch maybe your streaming shows, but you can at least sit there with your iPad or something like that and have, the internet. Which is an advantage because where I live in particular, it's shut off completely. I don't have any cell service. Very, very, spotty.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would be. It's a good question.
Yeah, because my electricity, because I broadcast from home in the morning, and when the electricity goes out, so does the
Yeah, but
interweb.
do you have fiber?
Yes.
You have fiber cable.
Correct. But the problem is you have a modem.
No, I understand that. But why would the dude have told me that? He could have been lying. I'm not challenging you.
I'm not sure.
I'm saying that what I was told was that is a difference. But then when I saw that Charter commercial, I'm like, well, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's being real deceptive because,
Right.
of course, when the power goes on because of a
We'll
generator.
have to, you know what? Who we've got coming up later? We'll ask him. Isn't it Tech Talk?
It is. It's Tech Talk Wednesday. Should I put that on the list for George?
Yeah, let's find out for George.
It's not a bad one because I don't really. You raise a great point because you do need power for other stuff. So maybe I was just lied to.
Well, maybe his point was if it goes out, I don't know. In other words, if it goes out at Charter, then you're affected, or at Spectrum, then you're affected. But AT&T is always there, so if your power's out, but you know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Okay.
But somebody's going to know the answer to this, and we're gonna put this to George as well because now I've confused myself. But he is coming up here at 5:32. We switched it from Tuesday to Wednesday this week because I was not here. We have a lot of stuff that's going on that's great here outside of Sue's News in the next hour. Keith Kellogg, retired general, is going to talk about the situation with Iran. They had in last night in Franklin County at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Did you hear about this? It was at the Union High School. They had people there to 4:39 in the morning because they were protesting a data center. And our friend Shannon Robinson, who is the director of St. Louis County Supporting Kids and Community Facebook page, Shannon's always been great on some of these school issues in particular, but that's kind of crazy. And we'll talk about that meeting that went on forever. Duane Patterson from the Duane's World podcast will be here as well. It feels like I just talked to him because Thursday we did the show here in the studio, but then we were off for the fish fry and have been off for a couple of days. So the week has gone by very, very quickly. And then as Sue pointed out, George Rosenthal at 5:32. But another reminder that we're on the road this week. Queen of All Saints in Oakville, the Reardon Roundtable at 3 with State Rep Steve Butts, former State Senator John Lamping, Kenny Wallace and his wife Kim are going to swing by for a visit in the 5 o'clock hour. We wrap things up on our Fish Fry Friday tour at Ott's Tavern and Fish Stand in Millside, Illinois next Friday. So believe it or not, this whole thing is going to wrap up very, very quickly. And, the other person we have to get on the air here very soon, maybe even tomorrow or next week, is Jimmy Fallon, because his show is coming up very quickly. It's the rescheduled show. It is set for April 11th at the Factory. It was weird. I was going through the Factory's list of concerts a few weeks ago, and his was not listed up there. So I sent that to Tricia. Hopefully they've got that figured out. I don't think it's a complete sellout. There are some tickets available, but Jimmy will come on here in either the next couple of days or next week, but we're getting close. It's that Saturday night, April 11th. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I think, and he made it clear the last time he was on with us that, it's different. The stand-up thing is different than what you see on TV. And with his show, obviously, we air his show here after mine on 97.1 FM Talk. But I think it'll be a fun night. And we hope to see you there.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Spring break, including for the Reardons, and things look fine. In fact, if you're leaving downtown, it's really not bad on 70. Little moderate volume at Zumbell and at Highway K and at Wentzville, and that's it. Westbound 64, just a little moderate volume at Hampton, eastbound at 270, and then a slow pocket or two. Winghaven out through 70. Southbound 270, though, Moderate volume at Ladue Road and at Manchester. 55, now that's a slow go, but we've got a construction zone as you head down toward Bates. Maybe some moderate volume near 141 and also headed for Z. But on the Illinois side, there's an accident reported westbound 64 past Highway 50. That's created a jam there. And slow-moving traffic eastbound coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
You know, Sue, I think Susan Ward came out to one of our fish fries a couple of years ago. We should invite her to the one on Friday, too. She's always great to visit with. She has a beautiful office that they've been in for almost a year in De Pere at Manchester and 270. Now, she's a family practice attorney. That means divorce attorney. They've focused exclusively on family law issues for about 2.5 decades now here in St. Louis. Very client-centric. They want to make sure that you have an understanding of the law and the options that are available. Susan will tell you that if you think you need her help, do not put that contact off. Get in touch as soon as you possibly can, because that is going to be something that's going to help you from making mistakes in the future. And you can easily get a hold of her by calling 314-783-9400. If you go to stlfamilylaw.com, that's her website. It's got a confidential consultation form and a bunch of information about the firm. There's a lawyer selection, frequently asked question, all that kind of stuff. She'll tell you, like, interview her like I would interview a guest to make sure that you're comfortable with her if you're going to hire her as your attorney. STLFamilyLaw.com, the focus on family law, the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Hey, it's Mark Cox here with my friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, we've worked together for 6 years now. You have 23 years of experience with your Guaranteed Sold program, but many don't know you also have a guaranteed multiple cash offer program for serious sellers.
That's right. Some sellers are looking for speed, certainty, and to avoid repairs and open houses. I just helped a family in December to sell their parents' estate. They chose me because I offered 4 cash offers at our first meeting, which gave them options picking the best cash offer. Whether it's multiple cash offers or my Guaranteed Sold program, my sellers are always in control to sell fast and for the most money. It's my guarantees and my buyers in waiting program that set me apart from other realtors.
Take it from me. Call Gloria Liu right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree upon price and possession date.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
KFTK FM Florissant,
an Odyssey station.
Top intelligence officials on the Capitol Hill Grill. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News, at a Senate hearing on worldwide threats, focusing mainly on Iran.
National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard told the Senate Intelligence Committee the Iranian regime remains intact, but its leadership and military capabilities have been significantly degraded.
The IC assesses that if a hostile regime survives, it will likely seek to begin a years-long effort to rebuild its military, missiles, and UAV forces.
She said this about a threat to the United States.
The intelligence community assesses that Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and Pakistan have been researching and developing an array of novel, advanced, or traditional missile delivery systems with nuclear and conventional payloads that put our homeland within range.
and that adversarial countries will be able to threaten us with a collective 16,000 missiles by the year 2035.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Democrats challenging Gabbard's insistence that the president decides what is or isn't an imminent threat. Iran loses another top official, the third taken out by Israel in 2 days, this time the country's intelligence minister. And Iran has been firing back at Israel.
As Iran retaliates, neighborhoods near Tel Aviv burn. Last night, at least 2 cluster bombs were fired into Israel by Iranian missiles. They break up into dozens of bomblets, which are making it past the air defenses. Last night, after midnight local time, a cluster bomb hit several neighborhoods around Tel Aviv. 2 people, 70 years old, were hit by shrapnel when a bomblet hit their apartment, and they were killed.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv. Iran also launching another round of attacks on Persian Gulf neighbors, including a strike in a Saudi Arabian province home to many oil fields, while threatening to ramp up strikes on oil and gas facilities in Qatar and the UAE. Meantime, Iran state media releasing a second written statement said to be from the new supreme leader, vowing vengeance for martyrs. Earlier today, President Trump attending a dignified transfer for 6 U.S. service members killed in a crash over Iraq. America is listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
You can feel it start to take place this afternoon. We are going into a new warm-up with above-average temperatures. Some clouds around tonight, mainly high clouds, 46 for the low. On Thursday, partly to mostly sunny. We're a little bit warmer, 74. Few clouds Thursday night, 48. Friday, sunny and 81. Spring kicks in Friday morning. Saturday and Sunday, same story. Sunshine each day, 81 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
I don't think we, at the beginning of the show, talked about the World Baseball Classic, and that was kind of a big bummer last night. We're all baseball fans here, and I watched it, Fred. I had a couple of the split screens going because there were basketball games on as well. But gosh darn it, Bryce Harper hits a 2-run home run. It's 2-0. He ties it up with a big, home run, and then it's pretty much a pitcher's duel. I mean, it wasn't the most thrilling game, unfortunately.
I watched the whole thing.
I did too.
And it was like, somebody please get on base for the United States. It took to like the 8th inning until the Bryce Harper home run.
So people, I guess, are dogging on Aaron Judge quite a bit because he didn't really do much in the World Baseball Classic. I would say there's a lot of people that didn't do a whole lot offensively in the World Baseball Classic for the U.S., right?
Yeah, it certainly isn't just him. People are just giving him flack because he is obviously so talented and has a lot of success during regular seasons. However, you look at his playoff numbers throughout the years, and he has just kind of been a no-show. And that kind of continued in the elimination games in the World Baseball Classic. Certainly not only him, but he did not help.
All I know is a couple of weeks ago, Fred, I said this to you, that I'm like one of the biggest baseball fans on the planet, and I don't really know much about the World Baseball Classic, but I got kind of caught up into it because the games were good, they were compelling, there was a lot of passion, the fan interest, and you could feel the energy in these stadiums, especially I think in Miami. I mean, with the Venezuela or anyone from South America, Dominican, there was incredible crowds there. I mean, that was supposedly a home game for the U.S. last night. It really wasn't, though.
Yeah, I noticed all the instruments that were in the stadium, and they had signs outside of the stadium. We will allow these instruments.
Oh, really?
Seriously? I mean, the Venezuela team or fans just came
Oh,
with
that's
instruments
awesome.
from playing drums and all sorts of horns. It's amazing.
But Ethan, is the deal that because one of the things I heard them even report on last night was that at 8:30 yesterday morning, 3 teams called and they said, okay, here's how you are allowed to use our players.
Correct.
And one of them was like, you're not using them. So there are limitations here because the regular MLB season is about to begin. These guys were given, to a certain extent, exemptions to go off and play. So the roster is sort of built around that as well. In other words, you're maybe not getting the best American players because not all of them are either interested or have the ability to play in the World Baseball Classic. And then you have, pitchers that maybe you're not even familiar with because they're in organizations, but they may not be starting at the major league level. Is that fair to say, too?
Yes, that's very fair to say. I would argue that this impacts the American team more than it does any other team because I don't think that the passion is necessarily there on Team USA that we saw from some of these Central American teams, some of these Asian teams. I'm trying to think of players that was the case with. The closing pitcher for Team Venezuela, Danny Palencia, plays for the Cubs, and originally they say he closed out the semifinal game, and the Cubs told him, nope, you can't use him for the championship, and they kind of talked their way into it. Right. They allowed him to pitch. That was not the case wasn't the case for Mason Miller. The Padres said Mason Miller can only pitch if it is a closing situation to win the game, basically, for Team USA.
Yeah, if it's a save situation.
And because of that, he did not get used in the ninth inning. He probably would have otherwise. And, of course, Garrett Whitlock allowed that run in the ninth inning. So, you understand it. You're paying these guys a lot of money. You want to make sure that their arms are not getting abused during a preseason tournament, a time when you're supposed to be ramping up. But it certainly does suck, especially for Team USA, when there's no reason you shouldn't be winning this tournament every single year. And because of whether it be limitations or guys not wanting to play, you end up not winning and proving that you're the best.
You had, going back, because I wasn't here Monday or Tuesday, but you had a situation where there was a game where, I can't remember which game it was, but you had nobody out, second and third. It was first and second, nobody out, then it was a pass ball. Cal Raleigh hadn't had a pass ball the entire season last year, and he lets a ball go through his legs, and they get second and third with nobody out, and they got out of it. And same thing kind of happened last night. There was a similar scenario with second and third. I'll tell you who I loved in this is that David Bednar guy. Pitcher, I guess he was with the Pirates. He's with the Yankees now. He was rock solid. So, look, as a primer, if you will, to the Major League Baseball season, it got me very excited. I can't wait for this season to start. I think the Cardinals, by the way, won today. Fred and I were huge. Ethan, of course, obviously you do play-by-play. Huge baseball fans. So, from that perspective, and you know what? Maybe I can say this. Maybe it's just because we won at the Olympic level, which is a little better. I was happy for the Venezuelans last night. I mean, they had such a great time. They were so passionate about it. It's not that I didn't care that we didn't win. I wanted the U.S. to win. But you know what? I felt as a baseball fan, I was cool with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Americans are like Dodgers fans in the sense that they're spoiled. And I think they forget how amazing winning is sometimes, right? I mean, I had already been thinking about, how awesome it's going to be able to say, what if we won in hockey, baseball, and soccer in one, or in what, a stretch of 7 months? How awesome would that be? This win was so meaningful to the Venezuelan fans, to the players. Like I said, not to say it wouldn't have been to the Americans if they would have won, but watching them celebrate was really cool and really...
there was another way to go about this. I think what Trump should have done is he should have got involved. He should have said, you know what, if you guys play in this thing, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to kidnap your... Oh, wait a second. He did that already. I forgot. All right. Well, there was another strategy there.
And Wilson Contreras, after the game, said it was the greatest moment of his career.
Was it William or Wilson?
Wilson.
It was Wilson.
Wilson came in and he played first base for
Venezuela
in the ninth inning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So he was on the field when they won. Yeah, a lot of guys are saying that the hype around it, the atmosphere, the responsibility because you're playing with your country's name on your chest feels way bigger than the World Series, which that kind of surprised me a little bit because the World Series, feels like it's about as big as it gets, and all of a sudden a preseason baseball tournament's jumping. That's crazy.
I liked it, but maybe there's a way to fine-tune it in the future. All right, Fred, you and I have not caught up. You went to D.C. and to New York. Were you doing like touristy things? Because you went out there to see the kids, right?
Right, I did, but I did some touristy things. Toured the United Nations in New York.
Had you done that before?
I had never done that. It was very interesting. I saw the General Assembly Hall, just saw all sorts of things in the United Nations. Went to a political discussion group at one of New York City's YMCAs.
How did you end up in that?
Thank you, Mark Reardon.
Like,
Thank you.
what in the world? Hey, Fred. Hey, psst, you were on vacation.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, wait. It was Jeff Greenfield hosted it.
Okay.
This is
And
vacation.
Maggie Haberman.
Yeah, from the New York Times or
and
formerly.
Alex Burns from Politico.
Yeah.
Were there. And they took 2 questions after the whole discussion. One of them was from my wife, Marie. And she asked, what do you guys, other than your respective organizations, what do you read? What do you think does fair coverage?
Mark Reardon show? That come up?
It should have.
Yeah.
They kind of agreed that The Atlantic is doing good coverage.
As someone who paid for that for 4 years, nope.
The Free Press.
Yes, well, they are.
So they like the Free Press. So
It's funny because the Atlantic, what was it? This is what pisses me off about the Atlantic, because that happened to me 5 years ago. I started to click on their articles, and I'm like, damn it, this is pretty good. It was COVID stuff. Remember, I like that one guy. I can't remember his name right now. But they had a piece the other day, and I put it on my reading list, but now I don't subscribe because I can't, do the whole thing. So every once in a while, they do have things I think that are really good, examples of journalism. Look, even the New York Times and the Washington Post and the LA Times, and I rip on those, or maybe even our local paper. There are examples of good journalism. There just are not as many good examples of good journalism.
In Washington, D.C., I went to a production, or I guess it was a performance of The Moth. I don't know if you've ever heard that. It's a storytelling show that's on National Public Radio. And people get up and they have 5 minutes to tell a story based on a certain topic. And so my wife and I and Shane and Noah were part of the judging panel.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
we got to choose the winner of that.
How did that come about?
Yeah. Well, that's Marie.
Yeah, that's
Marie.
Okay. Was there one clear winner, and did your family agree on it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We all agreed on the winner.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun. I toured Library of Congress. I talked about this yesterday. Went in and
so cool.
got person-to-person sort of showing of some really old baseball cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they've got all this stuff there, but you can't see it unless you have someone that works there that brings it out and shows it to you. And then they sit with you the entire time.
Sure they do. Of course.
While you flip through all these old baseball cards. So that was really cool. So a lot of really old, rare baseball photos.
So what did you do in that instance? Did you go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm looking for these particular cards
I
specifically?
walked into the area where they had all of the old historic archives and just said, what's the oldest stuff you got on baseball?
I know, that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, so
It is.
They brought it all out.
Did you eat any good food?
I ate at a restaurant that was from the Balkans, so I had some Balkans food.
Listen, we have one in Webster, that Balkan treat box, and it is outstanding.
This was really good.
Yeah.
Then I ate at a restaurant in New York City that was featured all Georgian food from the former Soviet Republic. And that was excellent food as well.
And you also celebrated your birthday when we were with us.
I
didn't. I don't think any of us were.
Oh,
we weren't able to say happy birthday on
much.
there. So happy late birthday.
I think we
to
did
you.
that on the round table that day, though.
No,
before,
I think we
Friday
did.
Before.
Just Fred couldn't hear it.
And we mentioned it last week too. We did.
We certainly did. Actually, Mark was on it. He did a good job.
Mark
had in his calendar.
Mark also said you guys had a discussion about how some people can make your life really hard and give you a shorter lifespan.
This did happen.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
That's true.
It was a Washington Post story. And then I sent my, condolences to you.
Yeah, we prayed prayed to God.
Fred was kind of confused when I sent that. He's like, oh, you mean that I'm dying because of you? I'm like, yes, Fred. That is exactly what the story is about.
I don't know death was involved,
Well, no,
Fred.
it was like, you have a shorter lifespan when you work with difficult people.
Don't tell him that.
I also went up in the World Trade Center building number 4, which is where my son works, up
Now
on the 60th floor.
The view from there, Fred, was outstanding.
That was pretty
wow.
amazing. And let's see what else.
Was that your first time seeing that view? Like that from his office?
From up that high, yeah. Yeah, I'd never been there before.
That's so cool.
And then when you come down and you're right out in front of it is the whole, the memorial.
The memorial,
area.
which they did a great job.
Yeah. Went to Roosevelt Island, which was kind of fun, between New York City and Brooklyn. Saw the smallpox hospital that was there in the 1850s. It's just a shell right now.
Did you take the subway anywhere when you were there?
Took the subway everywhere.
Did you feel like, was there anywhere you felt like
never
it's not
once
safe
felt
or?
scared?
That's good.
Never.
That's good
Same
to hear.
thing in D.C. Subway.
Did
all
you
over.
did you hang with Cardinal Dolan? I figured you just give him a text and he'd show up and have a bite with
Yeah,
you, Fred.
I should have. I didn't do that.
He probably would have done it. That's the kind of guy that he is.
You're right.
For sure. All right, 4:15 sounds like a successful spring break. I just stayed home with my daughter and played racquetball and we went shopping and did stuff like that. But we had a good time together. We were doing daddy and daughter things. We have Sue's News on a Wednesday afternoon coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got spring break going on for a lot of people, and westbound 70 looks good. A little slow approaching K and Wentzville, but that's it. 64 westbound, still moderate volume approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Eastbound, a little slow at the Interbound. Westbound, mainly moderate volume, Wing Haven out through 70. On the Illinois side, we're fine on the bridges, slow coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial because of road work. And road work causing delays on eastbound 64. 255 to just a little past 157. Westbound slowing at 159. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. Windows, siding, kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces. They deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
They do a lot of great things at the Missouri Athletic Club. I was there over the weekend with my daughter. I mentioned we were playing a little racquetball. I'm trying to teach her the game. But there is something that I think that anyone who is an MAC member, or maybe an MAC member, should take advantage of. And this is coming up in just a couple of weeks. And a lot of these folks are regular guests on our show. So on April 28th, which is a Tuesday, and this will take place at the downtown MAC Clubhouse, it's part of the MAC Speaker Series. And you're going to really hear from a lot of great people. Catherine Hanaway is going to be there, the Attorney General of Missouri, U.S. Attorney Thomas Albus, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore, U.S. Attorney of the Western District Matthew Price, all there talking about challenges for each office, how prosecutors work across jurisdictions, explain what success looks like for each office here in St. Louis. So that is a great event. It's coming up again Tuesday, April 28th. Always awesome stuff happening for the community and even philanthropically at the Missouri Athletic Club. You can find out more at mac-stl.org.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Nor Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's crawfordbutts.com.
Triton Exteriors, St. Louis roofing, siding, and gutter systems. We'll take care of you and your home. We are #1 in the Ladue, Kirkwood, and Webster area. James Hardy certified. Visit triton.stl.com to be connected with a James Hardy expert and receive a free estimate. Triton-stl.com or call 314-717-1159. That's 314-717-1159. Triton Exteriors, St. Louis #1 James Hardy specialists.
We all have different ideas of the perfect retirement, but they all depend on the same thing: not running out of money. And preparing for retirement can sometimes be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Find out how to build your retirement on your terms.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
Join host Steve All for the All Financial Hour, Saturday mornings at 6 or Saturday afternoon at 4, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. Tax season is here, and Missouri families are already seeing the real impact of the Working Families Tax Cut Act. House Republicans are delivering real results for hardworking Missourians. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the bill is projected to raise wages in Missouri by about $3,000 to $6,000 over the next 4 years. That's more money for groceries, gas, and greater security for your family's future. In Congress, I'm working to protect working families, strengthen our economy, and ensure you are keeping more of your hard-earned money.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Looking for something smart, soulful, and full of heart? I'm Jen Hatmaker, host of For the Love, the podcast where we talk about what really matters: love and family, faith and purpose. Every week, I'm joined by incredible incredible guests for honest conversations that invite all of us to live with more intention, more laughter, and more connection. Join us on For the Love wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, we have General Keith Kellogg joining us here at the bottom of the hour, the very latest on what's happening in Iran. After the top of the hour, Duane Patterson from HotAir.com, host of the Duane's World podcast. I've missed this for a couple of days since I was off, so we got to catch up.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
I guess I need to turn on my mic. Sorry about that. Okay, big news. We are getting a fire pit today. One of those ones that, Mark, is yours what is yours?
That's a very good question, Sue. It is.
Thank you. Thank you.
My fire pit needs repair. So it's essentially a round brick structure with a cylinder in the middle of it. And the cylinder part is what's falling apart for me right now.
Oh, so is the cylinder metal?
Yes.
Okay. And did this come with the house?
It did.
Okay.
It did, yes.
So we don't
have
that.
Any other questions, or do I need to
No,
talk
that's
to my
good.
attorney?
Just clarifying. We had to buy one. And we're thinking, well, do you want a solo stove, the one but we don't camp. There's no camping. So we ended up looking back and forth, and it's one called Tiki. So we're getting that tonight, or is supposed to. So I keep looking at the doorbell to see if it's delivered yet.
But is it just something that's going to be placed in the backyard?
Yes, I see. That's the debate. I think we've got on the patio. There's a round space in which you could put it, but to me, it's too close to a tree.
Oh.
So I'm going to see, but it's supposed to be one that sucks a lot of the smoke back in it. So it's not supposed to be terribly smoky. So we'll see how that goes. It probably means it won't get delivered till Friday, and I don't get to do anything. But
my neighbors might argue that mine does not have that smokeless feature because when the wind is whipping up in a certain way, it's going right into their deck, I think, unfortunately.
Well, at least it smells good, right?
But, I really do have this need. The cylinder thing is falling apart, and I don't know what to do about it. Who repairs fire pits? Is there someone out there that repairs fire pits?
Probably.
Okay.
Can you go online and
I haven't tried that yet.
Google Lens it and then look it up?
Yeah, and I need that same person to help me with something else because, I can't get my indoor fireplace to go on anymore. I've changed the batteries of the remote. I've changed the batteries of the other remote, and now it's not going on. So if anyone can help me with all of those things, please do. Please do.
I've got an idea for one of them, but okay.
Not Phil Handyman?
What about
Phil Handyman might be able to handle some of this.
I was going to say, I'd start there.
I would start with him.
Yeah.
I like to have a list of things, so there you go. You have a couple of things for him.
Happy National Awkward Moments Day. Yeah.
Who doesn't have a couple of those every once in a while?
And it's also National Lacy Oatmeal Cookie Day. Now, you think to yourself, the word lacy, but then you look, it does look lacy. It's kind of thin and almost like a different kind of cookie. It looked delicious to me. Have you
I don't
had
think
one?
I know what that is.
I've never heard that before.
Look it up. It's got a day, for heaven's sakes, people.
But is it lacy, L-A-C-Y?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a
That's
it's a
the part
delicate
that throws
cookie.
Me. Just to be clear, I've heard of an oatmeal cookie.
Okay.
It's the lacy part that threw me.
That's good. Dang it, the bell's broken. Fred, are you good at that?
We're not in a new
Can
bell.
Phil Handyman fix the bell? Well, try
Fred
it twice.
fixed it. Oh.
Thank you. Oh, wait. Okay, fine.
Okay.
It's also National Sloppy Joe Day.
Oh, I love Sloppy Joe.
I do too.
I don't like them to be sweet. Thoughts?
Oh, I like them anyway.
You know what I mean?
I think I'd say the same thing. I don't get a good Sloppy Joe, though, because, Becky doesn't like them, Alexa doesn't like them, so I have to do it on my own. Remember a couple years ago, I, made homemade Sloppy Joes? It was pretty good.
I grew up eating, my family, once a week or
that's
every
nice.
Saturday would have Sloppy Joes, and I hadn't had them in decades. And I went over to my sister's house the other day, and she made them, and it was the exact same recipe.
Oh, my gosh, how
great.
happy were you?
Oh, yeah, very much.
I like to, this is weird, but I like to put mustard on there. Just a thought. Takes a little some of the sweetness out. No, I just try it first. Okay. And on this day in history, 176 years ago, it was 1850, Fred, when Henry Wells and William Fargo founded a shipping company called American Express. That's right. It was a shipping company. It changed to traveler's checks in 1891. Doesn't that seem early for that?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until 1958 that its iconic charge card began. So that today is the 176th anniversary of American Express. All right, now Mark found this one. 45 years ago today, in 1981, I remember this show. The Greatest American Hero debuted on ABC.
I think I remembered this song more than I do the show.
Yes.
Because Ethan was pulling it earlier, and it's iconic, right?
Look at what's happened to me.
And this had to be a hit, too. It had to chart, don't you think?
It did.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Suddenly, I'm up on top of the world.
Who was the star of it?
William Katz.
Here we go, everybody. But I don't really remember much about the show at all.
Well, he put on the suit, right? It was red. It had like I thought he was cute, so I watched.
And he was a superhero?
Yeah, a common folk.
You have no idea what the
superhero.
show is about
No,
either.
that's what he was. He was a
Okay.
common folk superhero.
And you know how Ethan knew this song?
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, he said that the song appears in an episode of Seinfeld with George Costanza, sort of invoking it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. The young people, they surprise us all the time, don't they?
Yeah, they do. There was a viral post being shared that, now this is just to help us all, that says humans need 4 hugs a day to avoid anxiety and depression. But American author Virginia Satir says she thinks we need more than that. She once said we need 4 hugs a day for survival, 8 for maintenance, and 12 hugs a day for growth. So I don't know what you're going to do with that information.
I got ample amount of hugs. You know who gives hugs out? And doesn't?
Alexa Reardon?
Well, no, she might. But no, John O'Leary. John O'Leary the other night. He's a hug guy, right?
Yeah.
And he was great. He really was. I feel like 1 hug from John O'Leary counts for like 8 hugs.
I think dang it, you're right. Fred.
Yeah.
Will you
Even though the bell won't work again.
Yes.
You know, I once did a story on KMOX with Carol Daniel where the perfect timing length of a hug is 21 seconds.
That's long.
So
It seems really long.
I've got the video of it. Carol and I hugged for 21 seconds.
That
Was
seems
it awkward?
gropey. 21 seconds is a
Well,
lot.
you're right.
know,
But for
I
a
know.
coworker, that seems like a lot.
It was, I'll have to let you see the video.
Oh, that's interesting.
You really did
Yeah,
when was
21
that?
seconds.
How did I miss that?
Oh, years ago.
Scientists say that hugging can help lower cortisol, which is the body's main stress hormone. And some research suggests that people who get hugged more handle stress better in general. So you and Carol Daniel are now doing both of those. Oh, this is just random, but I saw this, that Tina Fey is going to host the debut episode of Saturday Night Live UK, which
Yeah, I
they're
saw that.
starting. Did you see that? I think that'll be cute.
It'll be cute. I wonder if it'll be funny because the current show here is not funny at all.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. I thought, well, maybe they'll do it.
By the way,
right.
why are they doing it now? Like 50 years after the first one. That's weird, isn't it?
You are reading my. Yes,
Yeah.
I've had the same thoughts. And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. The South Pole only experiences 1 sunrise and 1 sunset for the entire year. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, that's weird.
I think this song speaks directly to that. We're coming back.
I'm Dan Lodi with Your Money Now. President Trump issued a 60-day waiver of the Jones Act, which is the shipping law that requires the transport of goods between U.S. ports be conducted by U.S.-based vessels. That waiver will allow vital resources like oil, natural gas, fertilizer, and more to flow freely for 60 days. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says he will keep serving as head of the central bank if his successor, Kevin Warsh, is not confirmed by May, the time that Powell was set to leave. Powell's term technically goes until early 2028, but he added that he will stay on until the Justice Department investigation is complete. Wall Street stocks ended lower today. The Dow Industrial averaged down 768 points at 46,224. The Nasdaq was off 327, and the S&P 500 down 91. Athleisure retailer Lululemon shares were up 3 3/4% today after its most recently quarterly report. The quarter numbers were good, but it issued weak guidance moving forward. That's Your Money Now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. You know, that stupid song's going to be stuck in my head all night now.
Oh, yeah.
The theme from The Greatest American Hero. And by the way, that's my fault because I was the one who told Ethan to pull the audio, so I accept full responsibility for that. If you have not taken advantage of this, this is really a no-brainer with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call and get a free estimate. You might be surprised. They have financing available. You do not want to be at risk. I think the risk is growing every year because the power grid is failing. Take the ice storms and the tornadoes and anything like that, or the regular power outages. Let's face it, could be a car that hits a transformer or something like that. Take those out of the mix and just think about the power grid, which is way too old, and we're depending on it, and it's not going to be there forever working the way that it is. So if you have a Generac home standby generator, the power kicks right in. You don't have to worry about calling Ameren and worry about how long it's going to take to fix a downline or a blown transformer. You're going to have power right away. So they have a showroom in Chesterfield. You can get a free estimate just with a phone call as well, 314-499-2020. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Get a free estimate. Ask about low monthly payments. Make sure that even if you're out of town, your home is not going to lose power. It'll kick right in. You don't want to be on vacation. The power goes out. All the food is spoiled. That's not a fun thing. Get a Generac home standby generator today from Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
I'm not really good with recall with lines and things that happen in television shows like some people are. Like Ethan's really good because he's watched all these Seinfeld episodes a little bit more recently than we have. Yeah. So here's the George Costanza, as if the Great American Hero theme is not in your head enough, but here's what happened on Seinfeld.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. I must be out before I pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home.
That's so funny that is how he remembers that, right?
That's awesome.
I don't remember that episode, so
I do.
I can't really.
I think Elaine eventually screams and can't take the message anymore.
Let's see. A couple things that are random here. We were supposed to have General Kellogg, and I think he might still call, but let me get to some stuff here. You know, one of the narratives, and look, I'm just going to tell you that I'm a bit of a panican on this because I think that there's great risk here politically when it comes to the midterms. Now, Harry Enton's going to give you some polling here from CNN, and it's going to tell you that MAGA is sticking with Trump, and that may very well be. However, they're not the only people who vote in elections. I need to feel that's an important point. But listen, the polling here is, I think, even shocking to the team at CNN.
Sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you. And this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove.
I find that a little hard to believe.
Yeah, I do,
because
too.
there's some folks, even like you look out there in the internet hinterlands, if you will, with Matt Walsh and some other people who are pretty right-minded, and they're vocally against Iran in particular on this. But that's interesting polling.
Be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins. Now, there are some Republicans who disapprove of Donald John Trump, but they are not members of the Make America Great Again movement. The bottom line is this: if you are a member of MAGA, you approve of Donald Trump.
So they say, that's like 15 to 20% of the supporters are like the hardcore MAGA folks.
I've said it before, and, the theme of this segment is Tucker Carlson be darned. And when we look at the numbers, I've heard some people say, when you look at those MAGA numbers, it doesn't account for those who might have left MAGA. But take a look here. Americans who identify as MAGA, in November of 2024, it was 28% of Americans. Now it's basically the same. If anything, it's slightly higher at 30%. The bottom line is this: the MAGA base within the GOP is not shrinking. It's the same size. If anything, it is slightly larger than it was back in 2024 when, of course, Donald Trump won a second term. So that 100% that Donald Trump has approval among MAGA GOP, that is not an artifact of MAGA shrinking. It's just an indication of how strong Donald Trump's grip is on that MAGA base.
So that's amazing to me because, I'm wrong about these things all the time, and I'm very honest about it. You want a political prediction that you could take to the bank, I'll give you one, and it's going to fail. It's just like anything else. But I'm really surprised. Now, I still think this could change quite a bit. You got gas prices that are spiking right now. I'm in the camp that is not 100% fully in support of what's happening in Iran. From this perspective, I've made it clear. I support the military action, taking out the leaders, all of that stuff. But we're in a point now where we're 17, 18 days into this, and now what happens? And what's going to happen with the regime? I think these are legitimate questions, and I'm not just going to cheerlead here for the administration when, there's some decent questions that need to be answered. The other reason that that's a little surprising to me is because of the economy. There's a great piece today by the way, who wrote it? It might have been Joe Nasser at the Free Press, but it was someone at the Free Press talking about Doge and where is Doge. It wasn't Joe, it was somebody else. And they actually made the case, because I brought this up last week. A year ago, we were talking about, probably a year and a month ago, we were talking a lot about Doge. We're dropping bombs that cost probably like $1 billion each right now. So where is the concern about fiscal sanity that may have existed out there with MAGA? Well, apparently that's not something that people are concerned about right now. But I do think that the polling is somewhat interesting. Now, today's big news event was Rand Paul and Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin, who is up for DHS Secretary. Kristi Noem is gone, so he had his hearing today. Now, this got hot because Rand Paul and Markwayne Mullin do not get along at all.
The record should show, and I think will show, a lack of contrition, no apology, and no regrets for your support. You completely understand the violence that was perpetrated on me. You're unrepentant. And so you say you completely understood that I was assaulted from behind, had 6 ribs broken and part of my lung removed, and that was just fine. That's something that you, I guess, approve of as far as resolution of political problems. But when you say that you agree with a felon, a Trump-hating felon who attacked me, somehow you think I'm just going to set that. Oh, it's no big deal. I lay in pain for 2 months, had 6 ribs broken, 3 of them separated, grinding upon bone for months. And you think that's great and to be extolled, and you think a violent attack is just fine.
So, look, maybe my position on this is a little nuanced because Brian was on, Kilmeade was on earlier in criticizing Rand Paul. Did Rand Paul make this all about himself this morning? I don't know. Maybe he did. But look, if I'm a guy who had 6 ribs cracked and my crazy neighbor tackled me, and by the way, the crazy neighbor goes to jail for 8 months. So it was a felony. It was pretty serious. And Markwayne Mullin doesn't really seem to have any empathy for that at all. I think I'm probably a little, as the chair of this committee, mystified, right?
So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference.
So that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be? Support for or a condemnation of the violence?
Sir, as I said, we can have our differences. It's not going to keep me from doing my job as Secretary of Homeland Security.
Yeah, so the thing is here is this is getting personal, and it probably shouldn't on this committee because even though, and this is what Rand Paul said with Martha McCallum just a little while later after this hearing, wrapped, he was not going to vote for him anyway. We knew about this history there. He admits that he'll probably still clear the vote and be confirmed as the next DHS secretary, but here's what he said.
His anger issues that he has as an individual and his celebration of the violence that happened to me, but also his justification of the violence when engaged in, he was ready to have a fist fight in a committee. And when they asked him after he had cooled off days later, would he reject any of that? Does he regret any of it? And he said no, he had no regrets. In fact, he referred to historical examples of violence as justification. He said, well, yeah, we've always had canings and duels. And he seemed oblivious to the fact, and I pointed it out to him again today, the duels were illegal 170 years ago.
So this was kind of crazy. They started talking about duels. And yeah, Rand Paul had to say, look, those were never legal anyway. Oh, no, this got completely off the rails. Personally, I don't understand why it would be so difficult for Mark-Wayne Mullen to apologize for this. But Rand Paul admits it's not going to happen.
I can't imagine that he would. And he's actually very proud of endorsing the violence against me. So I don't think he's in any way. I mean, he's the guy, men will settle their differences by you punch him in the mouth. That is his quote. And he doesn't reject any of that. He doesn't say he wants to change. He doesn't say it was in the heat of battle. This is who he is.
Well, people tend to like him, and they like his personality. He's got a fiery personality. Will he be confirmed? Rand Paul admits, yeah, probably.
At this point, I think he'll get Democrat votes. And so I think he probably, if I had to guess, will probably still win without my vote. But I can't imagine a person who won't apologize, who basically says you deserve to be assaulted and have your ribs broken. I don't know how anybody, who they would expect could actually vote for that.
So there's all kinds of dynamics that exist in politics when something like this happens. Mark-Wayne Mullen was in the House before he became a U.S. Senator. He has a lot of relations in the House, like our own Jason Smith, who is the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. He wasn't crazy about Senator Paul's line of questioning.
I sat there during Chairman Rand Paul's questions or comments and was really taken back. And I thought that was inappropriate and not a good time to do it. In fact, it looked like that Senator Rand Paul has been harder on Republicans than any Democrats that I've ever seen come up for confirmation. And Mark-Wayne Mullen, he's a Hercules on the outside, but he's a teddy bear on the inside. He's a great American. He loves this nation. He loves this country. He's devoted to his family, and he'll be devoted to this job to make sure he's doing what's right for the American people.
Look, I'm going to defend Senator Paul because I think it's human nature. If someone's before me in a situation like that and they had said things like that in the past and not apologize, I'd bring it up. Sorry, I would bring it up. Did he have to spend as many minutes on it today? Maybe not, especially since it looks like he's going to clear the hearing and be confirmed. One more thing I wanted to share here this afternoon on an audio basis. It's so funny because when this James Tallarico guy won a couple of weeks ago in Texas, remember, he's the guy that goes on Jimmy Kimmel. They don't put him on the show that airs. They end up running the YouTube clip. The lawyers say, look, if you put him on, you may be obligated to get Jasmine Crockett and the other candidate on. So they didn't have him on the regular show. They put it on YouTube. But this guy gets all this attention, and there were Democrats that were concerned that if Jasmine Crockett won, that they would have no chance whatsoever at that Senate seat. The bad news for them is they have no chance whatsoever at that Senate seat. It is not going to be a blue seat. You hear this all the time. I've had even Democrats who I like and trust were on the roundtable sending me propaganda about this guy. This guy's different. He's Christian. He's a different kind of Democrat. We heard that about Beto O'Rourke, right? Texas has, how many? I bet I could Google this right now. You think they have a fair amount of cattle down in Texas, Sue?
I'm going with yes.
I'm going to go with yes, too. You think people eat that in Texas, too? Like,
I do.
They eat meat and beef? And I kind of do, too. James Tallarico, though.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, But also, it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society.
So, if I'm a campaign consultant in Texas, and these guys are all grifters, much love to my grifters here in St. Louis that are grifters, but they know they're grifters probably. How easy is that? There's a commercial right there. There's a 30-second commercial. Just run that over and over and over. That guy is going to get smoked. Any notion that he's competitive whatsoever is a bunch of BS.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, we are surviving. And we've got a spring break week here, so things are a little bit better than usual. But there's an accident on northbound 55 / eastbound 44 headed for the Poplar, and that's created a jam back 44 to about Jefferson. Now westbound 6440, that's Kings Highway out through McCausland, moderate volume at 270, and then slow pockets west of Winghaven out through 70. Just moderate volume on 70 from downtown in pockets out through Wentzville. But we've now got an accident reported eastbound 270 right at the Chain of Rocks Bridge, and this has created a jam that goes back through 367. So if you're a North County driver, bear that in mind. On the Illinois side, eastbound 64, slow on either side of 157 as well. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
They went until 4:39 this morning opposing a data center in Franklin County. We're going to tell you about that coming up next.
Brought to you by USPS Ground Advantage.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast.
Pump up the volume.
When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Had a great lunch last week with Matt Lawrence of Game Day Men's Health. We hadn't caught up in a while. He's got a great facility out in Chesterfield. It's right at 6440 at Olive and Clarkson. And I would like you to take advantage of the free appointment he's still offering for a free testosterone PSA test. Now, you make this hour-long appointment. Matt and the team will stick to that. They get you in there, do the blood work. In 20 minutes, they have results, and then they can come up with a plan for you. It might not be testosterone therapy. Maybe it's something else. Peptides and vitamins have really, really been growing in popularity. There's misinformation out there about those too. You want to go with a trusted source like the team at Game Day. They have a pharmacy on site now. They have medical technicians that are trained, and he's really proud of just the environment. It's a man cave environment. You're going to feel good. All your questions are going to be answered. Even if you've never done something like this before, this is the place to do it. Game Day Men's Health, because they call it a men's health clinic built for every journey. And that's exactly what they do, and they're really growing here in all of the U.S. and in Canada as well. So check out Game Day and the Game Day difference today. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Make an appointment today.
Jimmy Fallon in the house, and I cannot wait to see you finally, April 11th. Although we're not calling it a redo, because we never did the thing in the first place. You can't have a sequel if you don't have an original. Get your tickets at 971talk.com/events.
License number GL250000615.
We've seen all kinds of clogs, so remember the rule. Only flush 3 things. Number 1, number 2, and toilet paper.
What about my dinosaurs?
No.
My monster truck?
Nope.
What about...
If it's not the big 3, don't flush it.
But if someone does flush a dinosaur...
Call Grasser. We clear the clog and get things moving again.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I got to touch on this because it really is quite amazing. Shannon Robinson is here to kind of paint the picture for us. She's the director of St. Louis County Supporting Kids and Community Facebook page. But there was this marathon debate at the Union High School gym last night over data centers. Shannon, how are you this afternoon?
I'm well. How are you, Mark?
I'm good. Are there still people there? Because, my goodness, they were there till what, like 4:39 this morning, right?
Yeah, they're probably still sleeping. You know, they got to get their nap in.
So how did they, I mean, no matter where you are on an issue like this, and I know this is, particular to communities because they're concerned about these data centers. We've seen things bubble up in St. Charles. Actually, whenever one of these is proposed, I think you have a lot of opponents. But just to see that many people, you had like 800 people showing up to a planning and zoning committee meeting, which, by the way, when I was younger, I used to have to cover those things. I wanted to shoot myself in the head. They're like the most boring things you could ever go to in your entire life. I would send the reporters I didn't like to go to planning and zoning committee hearings when I was news director. But that's kind of impressive just to have all those people there, Shannon.
Well, and that's not the first meeting that they've had with hundreds of people. This is like the third or fourth meeting. And so just so your listeners are aware, there's two massive data center projects that are being proposed in Franklin County, and they're being proposed on agricultural land.
Right.
The reason it's going to planning and zoning is, right, they need to change it from the agricultural land to the industrial. So there's two data centers. The problem is, and it's not just those two data centers necessarily, and I don't know enough to say that the data center is the boogeyman that we think it is.
Right.
Maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
Fair enough.
My problem with this is outside of those two things that they're voting on, the most important piece, in my opinion, is that they are considering regulatory changes that would allow data centers as close as 150 feet from residential property lines. But the kicker here is it could eliminate the requirement for public hearings on future data centers. And people are missing that piece of the puzzle. And that's the part for me that is really got my attention and is frustrating. So you had 850 people about last night for 10 hours. So they showed up, they packed the gym in Union. Public comment went on for almost 10 hours. I can't imagine sitting there. I was not there, but I've been, watching from outside. But there was no vote.
Right.
And time after time in these meetings, it's majority are opposed to this. And so how many hours do we have to testify? Or at what point do the people actually count? And that was my frustration with this.
Yeah, because in the end, they can open that up for public comment, but they're all going to vote the way they're going to vote, right?
That's what it sounds like. And, I've heard on the public forums that some of the commissioners are on board with it. And that's where I start to get really, really frustrated, is that aren't they we elected them for them to be our voice. And maybe we disagree. Maybe the commissioners disagree with our opinion, but at the end of the day, they're there to represent us. And what they should do is say, let's slow it down. Maybe we don't have all the information that we need. I know one of these data centers, they had a meeting in Pacific early on. Hundreds of people showed up. The planning and zoning did the right thing. They said, you know what? We're going to pause this for 6 months. We're going to make sure that we get, they asked the developer to come in and fund independent expert reviews.
Transparency. Yeah.
Yes. And they said, we're going to hold it for 6 months. Well, guess what happened 2 months later? It was back on the agenda.
Yeah, well, they're not keeping their word there. That's ridiculous. So, because I've not been a part of this, I mean, we're going to talk to George Rosenthal in the next hour. You have to have these data centers with AI, right? They have to have all this power. Otherwise, we won't have the progress, if you want to call it that, with artificial intelligence. But the main concern of all these people that show up is what? That these things will overtake land that should not be overtaken with commercial use?
Good question.
Yes. Well, so one of the concerns is, so one of the property that is in Gray Summit, it's 575 acres. That site sits directly across from Shaw Nature Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of people who are concerned about that impact on that area. The other one sits on the Merrimack River. So, I believe the Missouri Department of Conservation came out and said this is not good for the animals that live in the area. You are concerned about the value of their home. What does that look like? I think this is such a new idea that we don't have enough data to say, how does this really affect our property value, the integrity of neighborhoods nearby. I've heard some people complain it's really noisy. I think on one of them, I don't know how much water that they need to cool, but I think it's quite a bit. And so the last number I saw was roughly 1 million gallons per day. So the residents are concerned that is going to be a burden on them and maybe their wells. A lot of people, who live in those areas, they're on well systems,
right,
and they're concerned that it would affect their water. So their concerns are valid.
Yeah, these are genuine concerns, and I think that the point to be made is you do need on all of these issues, I think, transparency, and people need to know as much as possible. I'm encouraged because it seems like every time these come up, you have a lot of people who are interested. There is, and it's also, I think it's more organic than what we see certainly on the left with some of these things that are organized, right?
Oh, it's very organic. I could not believe the number of people. And again, I was not at that meeting, but I've been curiously watching what happens. And I'm not anti, economic development at all. Franklin County is small. It would be great for the county if, in fact, it brings in the money that it says it does. But, I think my problem are these proposed regulations that would remove the public's voice. And that, to me, is not responsive government.
Yeah.
It's not responsive government when they're not listening to the people. And if they don't want it, I think you need to pause.
Keep on them, Shannon. I'm running too late here. Sue's looking at me. We got to get to traffic, but I appreciate the information. All right, take care.
Guys.
I'm blaming Shannon, Sue. Sorry.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Quick traffic. We've got volume headed for the Poplar Street Bridge and coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. Westbound 70 slow past the airport. Accident reported westbound 70 before K. And 6440, just the usual volume, Kings Highway out through McCausland. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
Okay, I think we are in a period now where the market is taking a bit of a downturn. If you're following, it was way down today, 768. It's a perfect time to get with the team from the Retirement Advisory Group because you don't know how much money you're going to have in retirement unless you figure it out with a great team of advisors like Thomas Helbig, his nephew Bob Kershaw, Bob's wife Tammy. Family-run operation. We do great seminars with that team as they're the official financial planners of my show and Mark's and Annie's. We have a new date to announce very, very soon because we do 5 a year. We did one a couple of weeks ago. But in the meantime, really, I would say go one-on-one into the office. It's a 3-step process. They'll schedule a meeting. They'll sit down. They'll look at what your ideal retirement really looks like. They'll evaluate their situation with yours. They'll examine your current financial situation, determine your needs, and then a custom plan to reach your goals. That's exactly what they do. And they do it in a little bit of a different way, which is safely linking to the market, which is locking in the principal gains that you have. Get with them today. Make an appointment. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
The colder weather is here, and my friends at Hanson's Tree Service want to offer you a 10% winter discount for all tree care scheduled between January and March of next year. Mark Cox here. Call now. Get your spot secured. Also, when it comes comes to winter plant health care, it's a great time to get one of their arborists over, have them to prescribe the best treatment options for your trees during the fall and winter season. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Schedule your appointment today at hansonstree.com. Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, buy one, get one room of carpet clean for free, unlimited rooms of carpet. Visit ZeroResSTL.com and tell them 97.1 sent you.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
Tough questions for the Homeland Security nominee. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Mark Wayne Mullen facing questions from Homeland Security Committee Chair, Republican Senator Rand Paul, who appeared to challenge whether Mullen is the right choice, accusing him of celebrating when Paul was attacked by a neighbor outside his home.
So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it.
Mullen said later that just because he and Rand Paul don't get along, that doesn't mean he can't do his job. He said if confirmed, he would be a steady hand. Top national security officials, including CIA Director John Ratcliffe, testifying about worldwide threats before a Senate panel. Ratcliffe told the panel he believes Iran could have developed missiles that could strike Europe if the U.S. had not intervened.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard was not as candid about that imminent threat. However, Director Gabbard noted that the U.S. may be back in a similar position, having to go after Iran again in a few years if the remnants of this regime succeeds. The chiefs also spoke about threats on the U.S. homeland. Last week, a man opened fire at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia, killing one and injuring others. On the same day, another man in Michigan rammed a truck into a synagogue.
Fox's David Spahn. The Federal Reserve keeping its key interest rate unchanged.
At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 3.5% to 3.75%.
Chair Jerome Powell, the central bank, says the implications of developments in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. The Fed is projecting one rate cut this year and one next year. Wall Street stocks fell after the decision by the Fed to leave interest rates where they are. The Dow lost 768, the Nasdaq off 327, the S&P minus 91. America is listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
You can feel it start to take place this afternoon. We are going into a new warm-up with above-average temperatures. Some clouds around tonight, mainly high clouds, 46 for the low. On Thursday, partly to mostly sunny. We're a little bit warmer, 74. Few clouds Thursday night, 48. Friday, sunny and 81. Spring kicks in Friday morning. Saturday and Sunday, same story. Sunshine each day, 81 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, Fred, I wanted to share some, we've been talking about baseball. We talked about the World Baseball Classic, et cetera. Some pretty important Cardinals news from today. You get these news releases, don't you?
I do, but
you might have missed this one. It says the Cardinals have optioned pitcher Richard Fitz.
I did.
So Dick Fitz has been sent to AAA. I just wanted to kind of point that out.
Thanks.
This afternoon. Hey, how about that Rand Paul situation with Mark Wayne Mullen earlier?
Today, I'll give you that chance to clear the record. Tell it to my face. If that's what you believe, tell it to me today. Tell the world why you believe I deserve to be assaulted from behind.
I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms of the snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us.
Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good.
So in retrospect, this probably should have been something where it was like the Rand Paul, Mark Wayne Mullen hearing and then the rest of the hearing where everyone else can ask questions. Our good friend Duane Patterson from HotAir.com, host of the Duane's World podcast, is back with us this afternoon. How are you? What did you think of those fireworks earlier today?
Yeah, no, fireworks are what's going on over Tehran right now. This was not fireworks. This was Rand Paul showing the entire world that was watching what an egomaniac and kind of a jerk he is.
Okay, but look, I might be the outlier here. If I'm the chair of a committee and some dude that kind of laughed off the fact that my neighbor tackled me and broke my ribs and I was in the hospital and the neighbor goes to prison for 8 months, and I'm the guy running that confirmation hearing, I'm sorry, I'm probably going to say something.
Okay, say something. So here's the thing. Before they held this hearing, right, they have a Sherpa that goes with the senator, and he goes and he visits everybody, and they make the rounds, the week before the hearing starts, and they sit in everybody's offices, and they shake hands, and they sit in their little foyer, and they sit in the chairs, and they have a little chit-chat, right? You think he didn't do that already?
He did it, right? Yeah, he had done that.
Okay, so why here? Only because Rand Paul is trying to make a stunt and say, I'm the victim here. Pity me. I'm not gonna. You have an anger management issue, so I'm not gonna put you through. I'm not gonna vote for you. Well, if anybody's got an anger management issue, it would seem to be Senator Paul.
Yeah, look, I'm more empathetic to him because I like his politics on the libertarian conservative side. I don't like all of his behavior and some of the things he does to thwart the Republican efforts. I can appreciate what Senator Mullen said there about how Rand Paul appears to fight Republicans more than Democrats. But I also think he's a voice sometimes that's necessary on the right or has been over the years. And look, you know what?
You remember a singer named Loudon Wainwright III?
Of course I do.
You remember Dead Skunk in the Middle of the Road?
Yes.
That would be the libertarian argument, at least out in the Senate. If you're going to run a committee and you're a Republican when organizing with it, but you're kind of more of a libertarian and you don't quite agree with them all the time, well, you're going to get pushback.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is this was a stunt. It was a show, like you said. Rand Paul got his moment. He went on probably, I would say, longer than he needed to here. But in the end, he even admits that he's going to be, probably appointed.
At this point, I think he'll get Democrat votes. And so I think he probably, if I had to guess, will probably still win without my vote. But I can't imagine a person who won't apologize, who basically says you deserve to be assaulted and have your ribs broken. I don't know how anybody, who they would expect could actually vote for that.
Yeah, so he's not going to get away from that. And that's always going to be a personal thing.
But again, that's not what he said. He said, I can understand, mainly because you're a pain in the neck. So I can understand it. I'm not saying, I was not happy that happened to Senator Paul, and I'm glad they caught the guy, and I'm glad they prosecuted the guy. He deserves to go away to the Gray Bar Hotel and not see daylight unobstructed for a good long time, because nobody should do that to other people. But when you're that much of a pain in the neck and you are blocking your own party over
then he's just being an obstructionist, right? Yeah, I get it.
You're going to get pushback.
No,
you're
I
just going to.
Well, but look, let's get him confirmed, and let's just move on because there's so many other things here that we need to talk about. I want to talk about what's going on right now with the SAVE Act. So I think there's some interesting reporting today by Kim Strassel in the Wall Street Journal about some of this. To me, Duane, you tell me, what is the actual path here to get this to the president's desk? Because there does not appear to be one. In the Kim Strassel column, they're talking about something called like a hybrid talking filibuster where they would, not get a full-on talking filibuster like we used to back in the day where someone's up there for 20 hours or whatever, where there'd be a little bit of a hybrid situation. I don't know what they're even talking about there, and is that feasible?
to be perfectly honest, no, it's not, in the sense that you've got two. If you're John Thune and the Republicans, you've got two ways forward. You can look at every bill and every measure that goes forward as to whether you can get a legislative victory, which is preferred, or you can look for a political victory, which is maybe not as preferred, although you want both if you can pull it off, right? So what they're doing is looking at the math on here, and if you were to do a talking filibuster, a true Rule 19 talking filibuster, I won't bore you with all the Senate rules here. Once they're onto the bill, nothing else can be done on the Senate floor legislatively. You can bring in an appointment and get a confirmation done, but you can't do any other legislation once you are on the SAVE Act. Once you've committed, you're on the floor, you're stuck. So that can go a week, it can go 2 weeks, it can go a month. Under Rule 19, there is no limit to how many amendments can be brought up.
Yeah,
And then under that rule, you can have 2 unlimited speeches per senator, per amendment, per sub-amendment. It can go on forever, and they don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, so the way that she's reporting it is, both sides would have an opportunity to do speeches that might last minutes or endless hours. How long will this go on? Well, they say maybe all-nighters, possibly weekend work. But she says the GOP will also put Democrats on the record in a talking filibuster scenario. Thune would have lost control of the floor. With this strategy, he'll retain power over the amendment process, to your point, and will fill the tree with Republican-crafted amendments. For as much as the GOP has quarreled over process, the party remains largely united and positive about much of the bill's substance. Amendments will be designed to highlight Democratic opposition to provisions that are largely supported by the public. So it's tricky. And you got to make sure this is always a disadvantage for Republicans because of the legacy media spinning it one way or the other. The other area where they seem to be having some trouble here, and I get this, and I talked about it with Brian Kilmeade a couple hours ago, is the issue of mail-in ballots. Because, even Lisa Murkowski says, you got polling places 400 miles away from some of my constituents in Alaska.
Right. So there is a deal here to be made. Now, give me just like a little short runway here, and I'll tell you what the deal could be here. So, because you've got 2 things out there that are cantankerous, contentious things. They shouldn't be, but they are. One is the SAVE Act, which is voter ID and electoral integrity. The other one is reopening the DHS and getting Coast Guard funded, TSA funded, and getting the rest of the government back open and getting people paid, right? 2 contested things, 2 separate measures, but both fighting for floor time that the Democrats are basically bottling up and holding hostage. So here's what the deal could be. If the Democrats know they're in a box canyon on the DHS bill, at some point they have to figure out a way out from under it because the polling is against them, and they're getting killed on this issue every day. That TSA agents aren't getting paid and Coast Guard's not getting paid. It's stupid, especially in the middle of a war when there's potential threats of sleeper cells and any number of things, right? You want Homeland Security up and running. You just do. So they can't get to it while the SAVE Act is on the floor. At some point, the Democrats are going to want out from under this and negotiate a way out. So there is a potential deal out there where if the Democrats agree to cave on the DHS bill and open it up for some, determined period of time, in return for the Republicans giving up on the whole enchilada of the SAVE Act. The counter for the Republicans would be, okay, maybe we can't get everything we want out of the SAVE Act, every provision, but we're going to get voter ID, the bare minimum that polls 90% in the country.
Yeah, so I love this. You probably heard this soundbite from Ted Cruz.
You need a photo ID to enroll in college. You need a photo ID to open a bank account. You need a photo ID to check into a hotel. And I got to admit, this is my personal favorite. You need a photo ID, actually 2 photo IDs, to shovel snow in New York City.
Yeah, that was funny from a couple of weeks ago. Look, I'm so tired of this debate over. Right, I'm so tired of this stuff. I've been talking about it for 20-something years on the radio. It's such common sense. But if they only get part of that thing across the finish line, is that a success for Trump?
Well, again, if you get mandated voter ID in every state, which I'm coming to you from California, where we have 40 million people. I don't know how many people vote, 10, 12, 14 million people vote here in this state. You not only are not required to show ID in this state. If you were to walk into a polling station and say, I want to show you my ID so that you can see I'm not somebody else, you are actually in violation of California state law.
That's how insane it is. That's ridiculous. Unbelievable.
Well,
there's what Gavin Newsom gave it to you.
Ridiculous here.
Unbelievable. Duane Patterson from HotAir.com, host of the Duane's World podcast. All right, so let's kind of talk about Iran here and where we are. Carolyn had a briefing earlier. You had J.D. Vance in Michigan. You know, one thing that's happening all over the country, it's happening here. We had very low gas prices 3 weeks ago. They ain't so low right now.
Gas prices are up. And we know they're up, and we know that people are hurting because of it. And we're doing everything that we can to ensure that they stay lower. I will say, the president said this, and I certainly agree with it. This is a temporary blip. Okay, what happened under the Biden administration is the gas prices were high for 4 years. Gas prices are higher right now, and frankly, they're not even as high as they were during certain parts of the Biden administration because of what's going on in the Middle East. It's not going to last forever. We're going to take care of business. We're going to come back home, and when that happens, you're going to see energy prices come back down to reality. But in the meantime, we got a problem. We know that we have a problem. We're doing everything that we can to address it.
I think there is major political risk here, and they're gauging it the way they're going to gauge it. The one thing I would say, and I know that I think I had at least one guest point this out earlier, I get that it's only mid-March, and if we go back to last year, mid-March, everyone was freaking out about the tariffs and everything else, and then we hit 50,000 in the stock market in the fall. So, there's a lot of things that could happen, but having said that, this is going to hurt people, and, it's going to hurt people more than just at the gas pump because you got diesel prices that have really spiked high, so that means the cost of groceries and other things to get them to market is more expensive. So they best hope that this is temporary, Duane, is what I would say.
I believe it will be for a couple of different reasons. One, that's not being talked about is as far as the cargo ships, the container ships, the metal boxes that are going through the ship, some of those got hit as well. Those have to go through that strait. The oil no longer has to. There is a pipeline that starts in Saudi Arabia, just in off of that point of the strait on the west side, and that is going straight across Saudi Arabia and going into the Red Sea, which basically bypasses that whole strait to begin with. So there's already a market force that's being a workaround so that you don't have oil on ships that are in harm's way going through that strait. That's number one. Number two, there is an inversion point that's happening to the global price of oil. It used to be you could look at a site every day and it showed you what oil was trading for globally, whatever that Brent crude, light sweet crude, whatever it is. There was a dollar amount, right? It's now changed for the U.S. It's like $100 a barrel. It's like 94, 95, something like that per barrel. Internationally, with other countries, Europe is paying $150 a barrel. Why? Because we're producing our own, and we're not having to get very much through the strait. One of the only states that's actually having to get material through the strait is California because we don't have refineries and we don't produce it here.
There you go. That doesn't shock me at all. But on the whole scenario with Iran right now, how does it end here? And what? Because now it seems like last week was confusing to me because I think there were mixed messages. We have achieved the military objectives, seemingly, maybe not. And then what's the next step?
Well, I'll tell you how. Well, I wrote a piece of Hot Air this week. I'll tell you how it could end. We just blew up all the defenses on Karj Island, the gas pump out in the strait that Iran has, right? There's 3 pipelines that feed to it from southwestern Iran, which is where their 3 major oil fields are. There is only one IRGC base that defends those 3 oil fields. We blew that up last week. So the oil fields don't have any defenses from the regime, and the gas dock at the end of the strait at Karj Island, there's no defenses there. We've got 5,000 Marines on the way. We could actually drink their milkshake and treat their oil fields as a receivership. They do not have the IRGC resources to be able to flood that zone because between us and the Israelis, we're consistently degrading them by the day. They're having defections by the day that we're reading now. They're walking off the job because they don't want to get killed. And on top of that, you're starting to see the Iranians start to go into the streets every night because they think it's getting close to being safe to do so.
Yeah,
again.
I hope that continues.
So
that
when all that, so you put that stew together, and that regime can't they can't do anything about it. It can be like it can be like the Daniel Day-Lewis movie. We can drink their milkshake.
All right, Duane Patterson, I always love your optimism. I really do. Are you a March Madness type of guy or not?
Not really.
No?
I typically don't fill out a bracket, but I'm more of a hockey guy than a basketball guy.
Are you really? What's your team?
I'm a Ducks.
Okay.
I got to hope for the homers here in SoCal.
No, I get that. Well, we got a couple of teams. We got the Billikens from St. Louis, who are playing in an 8-9 matchup against Georgia, and then my Mizzou Tigers, who have pooped the bed pretty much at the end of the season. They take on Miami. Here in St. Louis, though, we got a gift. We play here at Enterprise Center, just about 3 blocks from where I'm sitting right now. Duane Patterson, always great to have you on. You have a great week.
Thanks.
All right.
And hi, Sue. Time for traffic.
Thanks, Duane.
He almost missed his I Sue.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident eastbound 270 on the ramp to McDonald, and the left part of that exit ramp is closed. We've also got a report of emergency vehicles. This one is northbound 55 just before Butler Hill, and they've been on the right side. Accident eastbound 6440 at 22nd Street, and that one is on the shoulder. Now, the other serious issue we've had, well, we talked about eastbound 270 at McDonald. Well, there was an accident just past Lilac, and eastbound traffic is jammed back through 367. But also an accident reported eastbound on the Chain of Rocks Bridge, which is jammed back through Riverview. And Riverview itself is a parking lot headed for 270. That is by far the worst of it. Also a slow go is the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. That, of course, is all due to road work. Now, other than that, we've just got some moderate volume here and there. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. They have the largest showroom in all of St. Louis. It's got the latest, most custom designs. It's in Chesterfield Valley. There you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm watching baby hippos on Fox right now.
Love
I'm just
it.
fascinated by it.
I love
they have a
hippos.
live Earth cam in Indonesia. And they're showing this little pond with these baby hippos.
Hi, babies.
Pretty cute. I think I want one. All right. Hey, I think Stewie's going to come on tomorrow. Stuart Rosenblum from Stewie's American Mortgage and Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation here in St. Louis. A lot of times people are cash poor, and maybe that's you right now. But you don't want to refi because the rates are too high. Stuart's going to tell you they're not too high. And a lot of people will go out and get a home equity line of credit. That's not the right way. You're paying way too much in interest. Stuart's the only lender here in St. Louis to offer what he calls the bagel loan. He came up with it because it looks like a zero because you pay zero in fees that the other lenders charge for. So when you refi and the rates have dropped, this is a good opportunity right now. There's no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, no broker fees. He'll explain a little bit more about this when he comes on with me tomorrow afternoon, but this is a great time if you need cash. He's been doing it for 30 years in St. Louis. He created the bagel loan to help you save money, and he's the only one who does this. It's he and his son basically run the company, so you're getting direct customer service, quick closes in as little as 10 days, and transparency. Google the bagel loan, or here's Stewie's personal cell phone number, 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Stewie's American Mortgage. NMLS number 226715.
Triton Exteriors, St. Louis Roofing, Siding, and Gutter Systems. We'll take care of you and your home. We're #1 in the Ladue, Kirkwood, and Webster area. James Hardy certified. Visit Triton.stl.com to be connected with a James Hardy expert and receive a free estimate. Triton-stl.com or call 314-717-1159. That's 314-717-1159. Triton Exteriors, St. Louis #1 James Hardy specialists.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit ThrottleNet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field, hear the stands come alive, smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove, and just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
Swings, and it's a high fly ball. That's hit deep. It's a gunner! It's a gunner! And a game winner!
Start the season in style on Saturday, March 28th. The Cardinals welcome the Tampa Bay Rays for a spring showdown downtown. That day, you can score a lightweight Cardinals pullover, a navy blue look built for early season nights, and easy everyday wear. Comfortable, classic, and ready for cool evenings at the ballpark. It's a layer you'll reach for all season long. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Okay, calling a little audible here. We're doing Tech Talk Wednesdays with George Rosenthal in a few minutes because I was off yesterday. Here's something, we were talking about this crime situation and the out-of-control situation with these young people in the city of St. Louis at intersections. It happened in South City again over the weekend in multiple locations. There were people that were shot, 7 different people that were shot. So SMLPD just put out on their Twitter, juvenile curfew, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., downtown and downtown west neighborhoods. Good luck with that, by the way. Don't you think if I'm a kid and I'm out there causing trouble, you think a curfew that comes out from the St. Louis police that doesn't have enough officers to stop us from doing crazy things in the middle of intersections will have any influence whatsoever? Are you kidding me? I mean, it'd be one thing if we were addressing the parents who actually are responsible for the kids that are out there doing the nonsense, but these parents don't care in the first place. So I guess I understand. Look, I understand having the curfew because you got to get a hold of this, but boy, good luck enforcing it because I think what we've discovered over the years, and I've talked about this a lot with Jane Duker, on the roundtable and beyond, is that they know exactly where the officers are. They know exactly where they can go and create havoc without having, too much issue. When you look at some of the videos, I don't know how much you saw of this from the weekend, but there was one where there was one cop, right? And these kids were going up to the car. They were banging on the windows and throwing stuff and yelling and stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty stupid, first of all, but pretty ballsy. But they know that they can do it because if the cop does anything, well, he's the bad guy. You got half the board of aldermen here that hate the cops, so they'll jump on that. You get the media that hates the cops at the Post-Dispatch, so they'll jump on it right away, which is just so sad. So that's a interesting situation. We will kind of track that as we head into the weekend, and we'll talk about it on the Reardon Roundtable. We talked a little bit about the NCAA tournament at the beginning of the show, but I have to toss this in here because I think it's really incredible. I am more of a Mizzou guy. I went to Mizzou. I, covered the program for 15 years, was very close and still am with Coach Norm Stewart. Saw some great basketball. I have nothing against St. Louis University, but I'm more of a Mizzou guy. I do have a lot against Illinois because they have ugly orange colors. But with SLU, it's just I don't follow the program as closely. But this Robbie Avila kid really is something, and he came here with Josh Schertz from, I think it was Indiana State. He transferred. He had a bad year last year because of injuries. But the story that they had in the local paper about him, and this was something I think that Coach Schertz said at a news conference the other day is that this kid could have tripled his salary, like literally tripled his salary. So what Josh Schertz says is without him, this team doesn't exist. And what I mean by that is when we sat down after last season, Robbie had averaged 17.3 points, led the nation for bigs and assists, and made threes. So he's 6'10". He's a center. He's a big kid, right? Robbie averaged 17 3-points, led the nation for bigs and assists, made threes, right? And that's the second straight year he had done that. The highest paid people in the portal are bigs by far. It's the hardest thing to find. They make the most money. And so Coach Schertz says, I sat him down. I said, look, this is our NIL budget. This is the percentage I can pay you and still surround you with a conference championship team. He goes, okay. That's it. He simply said okay and agreed. He's 1 in a million, Coach Schertz says, because most guys would have said, well, I can make triple that, which he could in the open market by transferring. You've got to at least get this close for me to do it, some would say, right? But he didn't do that at all. He sacrificed, and he was willing to put his team over self and money and minutes and shots, and that just doesn't happen in sports. I mean, this is the kind of story that deserves national attention, and it's one of the reasons I hope that the Billikens can beat Georgia. Georgia's not that good. They play in Buffalo. I think Frank is there, Cusimano, so he'll be able to report. We have Bob Ramsey, the voice of the Billikens, with us tomorrow, but I love the Cinderella stories, but think about this. If they do win that 8-9 matchup, the downside is you got to play the 1, right?
Yes.
But just to get to the field of 32, if you will, I think that gives the the sports folks time to maybe tell that story a little bit to the national audience and Robbie Avila and how impressive he is, because that's a cool story. I mean, it was in the Post-Dispatch. It should be in ESPN, The Athletic. They should be talking about it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Spring break week, but issues out there. Eastbound 270, we've got road work, and there was an earlier accident. So as you head for Lilac, it's a slow go. And northbound Riverview is just jammed through there. It looks like it was worse. It looks like they may have cleared the accident on the bridge itself. Now, northbound 270, slowing at 370, an accident there. 70 westbound, just moderate volume, Jennings Station Road. And a little bit as you approach Highway K. 64 is just moderate volume, too, in Hampton, and then west of Winghaven out through 70. If you're headed into Illinois, things look great on the Poplar Street Bridge. A slow go coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge due to road work. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. You know, Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door, and Overhead Door Company can come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. Just one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, let's talk about the Show Me Institute. This is a great time to get to know the Show Me Institute. Their website is showmeinstitute.org because election days are coming up and some municipal elections, and they really take a close look at some of those. They're a think tank here in St. Louis, and David Stokes, who is a regular guest on the show, and Patrick Toohey, who's another one of the great thinkers there at the Show Me Institute, did a ballot breakdown for next week, some of the key issues. You may want to take a look at that, but they do, pieces, if you will, different position papers on everything from fire district sales taxes to education. They're the only think tank in Missouri dedicated to promoting free markets and individual liberty. Things like getting rid of the earnings tax in the city of St. Louis. Things like getting rid of the income tax in the state of Missouri. They talk about these things and they promote them. And you can educate yourself by using the website showmeinstitute.org for the Show Me Institute. Again, check it out, showmeinstitute.org.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you live in Missouri, have Medicaid, and need a caregiver, this message is important. Care at home is personal. That's why you may not want a stranger in your home to take care of you. You want someone who already knows you and your daily routines. With Freedom Care, you choose a trusted family member, a friend, or a neighbor. They will get paid after every shift to care for you, and it's 100% free to you. More than 70,000 people have already joined the Freedom Care family. Call your local Freedom Care. They'll check your Medicaid eligibility. Don't wait until a stranger shows up at your door. If you have Medicaid and need help at home, this care is available 100% free to you. Call Freedom Care now to see if you qualify. 314-343-1362. 314-343-1362. That's 314-343-1362.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:35. This portion of the show on a Wednesday sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From Festus to Freeburg, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative. Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal of ThrottleNet, ThrottleNet.com.
Lies, because it's Wednesday, but that's okay. We still have George with us this afternoon. How are you, George Rosenthal?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. It's always fun to do Tech Talk Tuesday on a Wednesday.
That's right. Well, let's talk about data centers because that was in the news. I spent some time on it in the last hour. They spent like 10 hours talking about this in Franklin County at Union High School. There were people in the gym and the bleachers until 4:39. But this is not just an issue for, that particular area of Missouri because this keeps popping up across the country. And these are hot, volatile topics, aren't they?
They are. And what's wild, though, is we keep talking about it in Missouri, but it's by design. Governor Kehoe and the administration is actually trying to set up Missouri as what they call the Silicon Prairie. This is all we're trying to get AI data centers in Missouri to turn ourselves into a mecca of tech and jobs and growth and so forth. And I totally understand and respect the opinions of those that are upset about it because they don't want their tax dollars subsidizing the power grid and because these private companies are coming in and doing their thing. I mean, but there is a solution for it. And I do love what Independence, Missouri, their city council approved $6.2 billion in tax incentives for a company called Nebius, and they're going to build. This is fascinating. 2.1 million square feet. That is unbelievably large for a data center. Yeah, 2.1 million square feet. And they're worried, obviously, now they're suing. The residents are suing because they're fearing, like I just said, they're subsidizing a power grid. But here's the thing. So Senate Bill 4 SB4, which is called the Nuclear Pivot, and Missouri passed this. It was overturned after a 50-year ban. And this allows construction work in process for any type of electrical or nuclear generator to be constructed so that the utility can start charging while the construction is going on. That was never allowed before. Now what they're trying to do is set up what they're calling mini nuclear plants at each one of these data centers. So imagine a nuclear power plant on an aircraft carrier or on a submarine. That, obviously not militarily, but that concept of a small nuclear power plant would be located at each one of these data centers around the area. So that gets into a whole nother set of topics on safety of nuclear, and everybody's worried about that. But that industry has come so far that I don't think we're going to need to be worrying about that because you haven't had an incident since the 70s.
What was there was something that either Kehoe signed or that was voted on for a reactor to be built at Mizzou, but it wasn't for data centers, I don't think, right?
Wow.
No, this is fascinating. I love this so much, and here's why. Look, if you have a family member or if you personally have fought cancer, okay, if you have fought any type of liver, thyroid, pancreatic cancer, or prostate cancer, there is a 99% chance that the nuclear medicine that helped cure you came from Mizzou. In fact, without Mizzou in this program, 100% of the medicine, the nuclear medicine for those cancers I just mentioned, are all coming from overseas. So this is a huge deal that Mizzou got, and it's a tech thing because I love the fact that it's all about helping advance medicine. But it's a $1 billion initiative to build a 20 megawatt research reactor at Mizzou. And this is a big deal. This means that this will, I believe, triple the production capabilities of what they're allowed or what they're able to create for cancer medication right here in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah, that's
incredible. And I mean, literally, like, it really is amazing, and I'm so proud, to say that Missouri is finally stepping up to become a tech-centered area, and I love the Silicon Prairie, tag.
All right, I love that too, but let's circle back to that because if you, and by the way, I don't know that the governor and the state has done a good job at communicating what they're trying to do here because what happens is every time one of these things is introduced, you have hundreds and hundreds of people who are opposed. So how do you become the Silicon Prairie and still make people satisfied with what their, city council, the board of aldermen, all the governments are going to do with data centers?
Yeah, well, you're 100% right. I think they have a serious problem with communication. Their communication process is terrible, and they need to get a PR firm. The fact of the matter is, though, the residents should not be subsidizing a private power plant for a public company. I totally respect that. Yeah. But at the same time, we've got to figure something out to progress through this AI deal because it's not going away. The genie's out of the bottle, and it is. And I know it's a stereotype to say, well, we're racing the Chinese. No. We really are in a worldwide race against AI, and whoever wins this race is going to have strategic power around the world. They're going to be able to grow more food, have people living longer with better health. AI is going to affect every single aspect of your life. And whoever wins that race is going to be winning the better life. And that's why it's important for us to do this. It really is. And along with that, even if you just add 100 million electric vehicles on the road, our grid still can't support it. So let's take the AI data centers out of it. You still got to have a better grid just on EVs alone.
Yeah, these are big issues, and they need to be talked about more. So one of the things, I think you referred to this a couple of weeks ago. George Rosenthal is here, our friend from Throttlenet. It is Tech Talk Wednesday on a Tuesday. No, Tech Talk Tuesday on a Wednesday. There we go. I reversed that. But you're talking about Google Maps and Gemini, and they're actually doing things to combine efforts when it comes to some of this AI stuff.
Yes. Oh, man, today, I tell you what, last week and then the last few days have been the biggest launch of Google Gemini, and nobody's talking about it. It's all under the radar. And I love Google Maps. I don't know which map system you use. If it's Apple Maps, I feel sorry for you. You need to change. Waze is awesome, but Waze is owned by Google. Google Maps is getting a huge upgrade, and AI is being put inside of it. So you're going to be able to have a conversation with Google Maps and say, hey, I need to know, can you find a gas station, a pharmacy, and a really nice high-rated coffee shop on my way to Lake of the Ozarks? And it will you talk to it like a regular person, and it sets it all up for you. It's going to have a three-dimensional looking map now. Ooh. And this is all being rolled out now. So when you go under overpasses, over exit ramps, maybe under a tunnel, you're going to be able to see, just as if you're driving, it's going to show you which exit ramp you're supposed to take in 3 dimensions instead of a 2-dimensional overlay of just spaghetti lines all over the place.
Oh my gosh, George, when does that come out?
That's now. So they're rolling it out across the country starting now. You will see it. Just keep an eye out for an update on your Google Maps. That is coming out now. If you're an Android person, again, I feel sorry for you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm a devout Apple guy. But if you are an Android person,
that's me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then you're going to love this then. So task automation, Gemini will be able to go in and look at your individual apps like Uber, DoorDash, Starbucks, any type of restaurant you have, and you'll be able to talk to Gemini like a person and say, hey, my last order of chicken wings and salad, I want that over at this restaurant. Can you go ahead and order that for me? And it'll pull up the app, make the order for you, and then when it's ready to pay, it will freeze and look at you to double click or at least do your actual manual pay.
Awesome.
It's so cool. It's going to bring all these different apps on your phone together by just talking to them instead of having to go find each app independently. It's going to be dynamite.
So does Apple have something that compares to that?
Well, here they will. And here's why I love this, because Google Gemini is getting integrated into every single iOS device this summer. So this summer, everything I'm talking about here is going to be on your iOS device, and it will run Siri. So everything Siri is doing will be Google Gemini, and it's including the apps, the map itself, and also I'm not sure if you're a Google Docs or a Google Sheets or a Google Drive person where you store your files, but this is something where Google Gemini is going to go and talk to and read all the documents, go through all your pictures, metadata, and you'll be able to say, okay, who look up the latest PDF of this quarter's budget and tell me who approved it, and it'll just go out on your Google OneDrive and do it. And this can be from your phone, your tablet, your laptop. It could be just from a Google Home device in your house. And while you're standing in your kitchen, you can ask it any question about all of your Google Docs, and it'll come back to you with a legitimate, educated answer. So AI Gemini has just made a huge leap. Just so you know, what we were talking about as far as the task automation, that's for the Pixel 10 and the Samsung S26. So I'm not sure, Sue, if you have.
No, I'm a 23. I'm a S23. So I'm behind.
Okay, well, that's coming.
Okay.
So it's coming. That'll be here in probably about a month or so. But right now, and the other thing that's getting a huge upgrade is Google Chrome. It's all getting tied together. So the entire Google universe, so to speak, is going to be tied together with Gemini, and ironically, on Apple devices as well. So Google really has cornering the market. And what's crazy is ChatGPT is faltering by the day. It's unbelievable. They're losing billions and billions of dollars.
Really?
And so, yes, they are in seriously financial trouble. So if you're looking at AI, I would highly recommend using Gemini to get started, because it will be the ecosystem of everything going on. Even if you're not a Google Chrome user or a Google Docs user, it's still going to be on every iOS device, and it's going to be on every Android device. So you might as well get used to it.
Is it a situation where Apple basically had to say uncle? Like,
it sounds like
doing it better than us?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, Steve Jobs must be rolling over in the grave.
Oh, I
man,
bet.
because that is not his style at all. That was not his deal. He was the innovator, the leader. He was the forward thinker. And the fact that they had to give up to their competition and install their competitors' AI on their devices would just eat him up.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
But
As a consumer, I want stuff now.
Exactly.
I don't want to have to write.
Yeah.
So I get the
Love
decision
it.
by the company for sure. Tech Talk Tuesday on a Wednesday with George Rosenthal. ThrottleNet.com/971. We'll talk next week. Maybe even on Tuesday.
I love it.
All
Great
right,
to
so we'll
talk to
see
you.
you, George.
Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
It's time
Traffic
for a $98
from the 90s.
Oh, that
AC
was
tune-up.
me. That was the host. I double punched it. Darn it. Get started, and
All
Ethan
right.
will work his magic
You
here.
got it.
Yeah.
On the roads, there was an accident, and it's on 364. So if you're traveling, it's eastbound past Gudermuth, and they've got the left lane and the shoulder block, the left shoulder. So there's a delay through there. We've got, let's see, it was a stall reported. Southbound 270 past 70, but it looks like they may have gotten that cleared. We're in pretty good shape because it's spring break. Westbound 70 slowing as you approach K. There's some volume on the Illinois side. Eastbound 70 at 64. That is due to road work, but 55 looks fine. Southbound 270 looks great. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
Well, this is where I'm supposed to talk about ThrottleNet, and we just did that for like 10 minutes, which was awesome. But it gives you a really good indication of what George and the team at ThrottleNet can do for you when it comes to your business. They're an IT company. They're not an internet provider. So if you have a business, and you have heard these stories over the years of big businesses, it's always amazing to me, and we've been on the air talking about these, that big companies out there that you think would know better have an employee that gives out a password or they click something wrong, and then it craters, right? You lose a lot of money that way. It's not a good situation. You have to have good IT. And as you know, I can hear this each and every week from George in this segment. It's getting even more important to have control of this. So what they're offering you as a company is a free baseline IT security audit. You can't get started with all this unless you know where your starting point is, and that will come within minutes. So it's not going to be confusing reports. They're going to give you a simple risk score. It shows you where you're strong, where gaps exist. It's a real practical, very understandable, easy way to know your real-world risk without guesswork, and they supply that for you if you go to throttlenet.com/971. It's a free baseline IT security audit. You can hear the passion in George's voice every week. These guys know what they're doing. They have saved a lot of businesses here in St. Louis from a lot of trouble. No client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. Think about that. throttlenet.com/971. Get started today. This Friday, we're inviting you to have some fish with us. It's another Fish Fry Friday on the Mark Reardon Show. This time we're in Oakville at Queen of All Saints. From 3 to 6, we'll be broadcasting live and eating God's cod. Fish Fry Fridays, made possible by Apache Village RV.
Achoo! Ah, the sounds of spring. We can't clean the air outside, but we can clean the air inside your home. Purify the air inside your home with an air scrubber. Through the end of March, get a free air scrubber with a full HVAC system and carrier Cool Cash rebates up to $2,600. The air scrubber removes air pollen, VOCs, surface contaminants, pet dander, odors, and more. Visit aircomfortservice.com/specials to claim your free air scrubber. That's aircomfortservice.com/specials.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
It's that time of year to refresh those tired, stained, and worn-out carpets for spring. Call Carpet Guy Home Services with deals starting as low as $39.95. Our professional cleaning will bring your carpets back to life. For all your home cleaning services, schedule online at www.callcarpetguy.com.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim, and if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardie siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesidearty.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Nor Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's crawfordbutts.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
Man, I was so into that World Baseball Classic here the last few days, and it was a lot of fun to watch that game last night, even though the USA did not win. Now, Sue, we have 2 basketball games on tonight in the NCAA tournament.
What?
They're they're like the first 4 in. We had a couple of games last night. Now you're going to be forced to. I'm going to be forced to tell you what the games are, right?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay, because luckily this little sports app is going to tell me right now what's going on. Men's NCAA bracket. Here we go. So yesterday it was Howard beating University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which you may laugh at that, but I think they were a team that knocked someone off a couple of years ago.
Right? Okay.
So Howard beat them 86-83, so they go on as a 16 seed. NC State lost to Texas 68-66, so they're an 11 seed. So there's a game going on right now between Prairie View, I think it's Prairie View A&M, and Lehigh. That's for a 16 seed. Prairie View is leading 11-8. And then Miami of Ohio, which, that's an interesting story because they were undefeated until last weekend. I think they're ranked 20th in the nation right now, but they still have to play their way into this tournament against SMU, so they would be an 11th seed. Oh, yeah, and Ethan's reminding me that University of Maryland, Baltimore County, they beat Virginia. They were the first. There had never been a 16 seed that had beaten a number 1 seed until that point. Wow. I think it happened one other time since then. Then, of course, you have Mizzou. There's not been very many 2 seeds that have beat 15 seeds, but of course Mizzou had that with Norfolk State. That was a lovely day. I remember going home and saying a word that starts with F over and over and over again. Let's do this here.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Wow, it may end up being the audio cut of the week. Rand Paul and Markwayne Mullin kind of tangling today at this hearing. Mullin, of course, is the nominee from the administration to be the next DHS secretary. Rand Paul, not a big fan because Markwayne Mullin has given him trouble in the past about the attack that he had in his backyard a few years ago.
Today, I'll give you that chance to clear the record. Tell it to my face. If that's what you believe, tell it to me today. Tell the world why you believe I deserve to be assaulted from behind.
I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms as a snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us.
Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good.
So Rand Paul even admitted a little bit later with Martha McCallum, he said, look, he's not going to get an apology.
I can't imagine that he would. And he's actually very proud of endorsing the violence against me. So I don't think he's in any way. I mean, he's the guy, men will settle their differences by you punch him in the mouth. That is his quote. And he doesn't reject any of that. He doesn't say he wants to change. He doesn't say it was in the heat of battle. This is who he is.
So even though Rand Paul chairs that committee, he still knows that Markwayne Mullin's going to probably get the gig.
At this point, I think he'll get Democrat votes. And so I think he probably, if I had to guess, will probably still win without my vote. But I can't imagine a person who won't apologize, who basically says you deserve to be assaulted and have your ribs broken. I don't know how anybody, who they would expect could actually vote for that.
I know a lot of people don't like Rand Paul. I tend to be a little empathetic on his position on this because I think Markwayne Mullin acted like kind of an idiot. But that's what they do on Capitol Hill, don't they? They act like idiots.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
It's nice to have a spring break week as far as commuting goes. There's a little bit of volume eastbound 70 on the Illinois side in the construction zone headed for 64. And there was an accident on 364. It first came down as eastbound, but it's westbound, and that's where the jam is. Just past 94. Look for a jam in that area. But 6440 looks fine out of downtown. A little moderate volume at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And other than that, we're good. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, we do these fish fries every Friday. We're going to have another one at Queen of All Saints this week. But it was awesome last week to see my friend Bill Kaufman from Banner Construction. Banner is a great company here. I haven't seen Bill in a while. We were catching up a little bit. Now, here's where you can use Banner. If you're looking at an exterior remodeling project, you want to look at the best product out there, that's James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding. There's no debate about that whatsoever. It's become one of the most popular types of siding because it's durable, it's beautiful, and you want to go with a team because one of the most important decisions you make in a situation like this is which contractor do you choose? Well, you have to choose Banner because they've been selected by James Hardie as an elite preferred contractor. Hardie puts a lot of trust in Banner because they know the type of work and the quality of work that they do here in the St. Louis area. Same thing goes for pillar replacement windows. So if you're looking at new windows and doors, maybe a sliding patio door, something like that, or new siding from James Hardie, check with Banner Construction today. It's a free in-home estimate. They have an awesome design team that would love to come over and dazzle you with ideas. 314-569-1050, the website, bannerconstruction.com.
One of the biggest gifts you can give your family is peace of mind. That's why I trust and recommend Civia Law. They've helped so many families, including mine,